Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and this is General Oz reporting live from the Doom Bunker, where we're going to be continuing our playthrough through Doom Eternal. And I'm, of course, joined by...
Radic.
Oh, it's kind of nutty out there, ladies and gentlemen. This whole virus thing has got people going crazier than they normally are. Now, I've actually already completed this level in my main playthrough. I've actually completed the entire game, and I gotta say, Doom Eternal, and I immediately jump into the abyss. Hey, it's like a... I totally meant to do that. That is like a... It's an interpretive thing that's meant to represent this year. It's totally not me just, like, not paying attention.
Doom guy does interpretive dance and falls to his death.
And unfortunately, now I gotta try to remember, like, where the hell do I go? I don't remember what I'm supposed to do here. No, that's not it. Oh, we're already off to a great start. It's like, I know I gotta jump onto something. No wonder everyone's complaining about Doom Eternal being too hard. I don't know why people complain about difficulty in a game like this, because it's not that bad. Unless, of course, you've complete. Oh, there it is.
Emo chow. They're just complaining to complain. It's games journalists. First they complain about, oh, this X game is too hard, and then Final Fantasy demo comes out, oh, it's too easy.
Yeah.
Make up your damn mind.
See, I still just cannot muster up any enthusiasm for Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy anything other than, like, the first three.
I used to like Final Fantasy, but really, 7 is not the best of the series. It's just not. I don't care if somebody's going to come to try to argue with me and, oh, it's great, it's fine, but it's hardly the best of the series.
It's like all the anime people dancing around, well, not dancing around, but I played the first one. Oh, not the first one. I played the original PS1 release on a PS2 for about 15 minutes and found it really boring. I just can't get into the art style or the story, and it's just it's very Japanese. Let's put it that way.
6 had the better storyline. I'm sorry, it just does. Now, 7's not the worst. The worst has to be 10 and 10 too.
Especially judging by those the now ancient Spoonie videos. Sadly,
Spoonie could be hyperbolic in a lot, but there he's not wrong.
So, like, even 7, which everyone holds into such high regard, it's like, I just can't care!
Well, the only reason they do is because it was their first Final Fantasy experience.
I'm glad I was an N64 kid because, you know, there might not have been any RPGs on that particular system, but you know what? There was all the Turok games. And I'm working on Turok 3. That game is really bloody long. And that last level is ridiculous. See, that's the real hard game right there. Like, one grenade does like 20 points of damage. They can block it. There's an enemy in the last level of Turok 3 that throws a grenade that almost always hits you, and they have a little. It's not little. It's this cleaver that can block your shots. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, Turok was never an easy series.
I can only imagine the journos today would just go completely mad.
Well, they did back then. That actually caused some review points to be docked.
It's like, I don't... The good thing about Turok is that I can play with save states, because I can guarantee you I would have cheated. In fact... And there goes the phone. Is it... Let's see. I'm gonna die, because I'm not paying attention. Oh wait, no! No! Oh, I almost got the health.
2 was designed by Mark Israeli. Hey, build this, wait for gun buyback. Because it's so darn cheap, go ahead and chuck, 10, 20 of them at a gun buyback just to screw them over.
I've never even heard of a GB22. Is that like that Zip 22 thing that...
Oh no, this is just a single shot, It's about 4 pieces of steel to make a single shot 22 that you can essentially do with even the lowliest hand tools.
Oh.
Mark Serbu released it really as a way of just screwing down buybacks. because it is legitimately a gun and it actually will function. But it's also like, if you know what you're doing and have decent tools, it'll cost you anywhere from 30 to $10 to make.
Yeah, I never even heard of that. Not bad though. So like when I think of like a gun buyback gun, I would not want to see like a real legitimate single shot 22 get consigned to the shredders, just because some of those old single shots were actually pretty nice.
Yeah, that's why Mark made these. Basically, for anybody who's you got a Dremel, you can make one for like $30. You got, you know, access to a hydro cutter, or know somebody who does, you can have them made for like $10 a pop, and really just absolutely screw the gun buyback.
Now that I like
pistols. Where's my money? Nobody ever said they were good pistols.
Or to show up with a Tech 9.
Oh no, this is even cheaper than that. But it actually works.
I don't know why people always thought the Tech 9 was cool in some way. I always thought it was kind of dumb.
Well, here's the thing. The actual original model that George Kelgren made, you know, to military spec, or at least to this original spec, was perfectly fine. It was just a blowback 9mm carbine. It was basically a pseudo PBW. Perfectly fine. But cost cutting kind of killed it.
Yeah, it always seems to be the way in some respects. Or just really, grab it! Really old polymer technology.
Well, it was before we started using, you know, full fiber filled polymer. If it were made today with, you know, a decent magazine and 35% polymer fill, it'd still be a perfectly fine PDW. But
yeah, I wonder.
Polymer on a Tech 9 is not an area that gets abuse.
See, that makes me think of something. Like, you could possibly, like, I don't know how popular the name is, though, but you could actually re-release that with, like, a brace and have it take Glock mags. That might actually get pretty popular.
I wouldn't bother Glock mags because it's the bolt's moving at high velocity, which is not good in a short carbine with a Glock mag. The feed angles are right pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Now, say if you went with the old, I say old, they're still made, the Colt SMG mags, yeah, knock your socks off. With a collapsible or folding brace, it'd work just fine.
Yeah, I've seen some Colt mags around, but they are definitely more expensive than the Glock mag. That is definitely sure.
Well, another option is right now, PSA is making a really darn good version of the CZ Scorpion mag for cheap at $13. That would work great.
Now, of course, would it be worth trying to bring back the Tech 9 though, other than just for the cool factor? But then again, other things have been brought back, so
it would not be a bad idea. I mean, Ruger and Tomet tried to bring back the Sight Spectre and did a pretty good job with it.
Grab it! Just the 9mm carbine market has definitely grown in the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, it's as soon as the quarantine's lifted, we're really starting to see an excellent cheap roller delayed coming to the market very soon with this Streebog SP9A3.
That's roller delayed. I did not know that. I thought it was just standard blowback.
Well, the SP981 is standard blowback well, let me rephrase that. It's a standard blowback in its operation, but it's a halted blowback. It essentially has a two-stage buffer. The SP983 is actually roller delayed.
Because, like, that's why I kind of ignored that. It's like, yeah, it's just another one. But, holy shit.
No. Yeah, it's not going to be that much more expensive either. The original was actually really quite good for what it was. Very comfortable, very easy to shoot. Ergonomics are great. So add that to roller delayed, it's going to be an absolute joy to shoot.
It's a good time to be a buyer, that is for sure. Assuming we all survived the horrible economic blowback from the coronavirus. Wait, not Chinese export. There we go.
Yeah, it's Kung Flu is kind of kicking our butts.
See, I remember, like, I was kind of joking about it in February. I was like, oh, it's just going to be another thing like swine flu. It's not going to be a big, oh. How was I to know? How was I to know?
The only reason I knew is because I was reading a lot. And it's like, wait a second. China likes to save face, but they don't like to save face this much. Something's up.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Oh, your first PC. What's the specs? Also, Brutal Doom, I would recommend actually going for Project Brutality. At least, for me, it feels like it's a lot. It feels better to me. Brutal Doom...
If you haven't played through Doom Vanilla first, give that a go in GZ Doom first, get a feel for it, then try your add-ons. That way you really feel the changes. It makes it glorious.
Indeed. What the hell? I find it funny, like, I've already... Oh, there it is. I've already beaten the game, but it's been so long since I've played it. Ever since the review is, I'm like, where the hell do I go? Now, one of the journalists had a problem with it, and I'm gonna die. Yep, there we go. And I've actually completed all of Brutal Doom, not Brutal Doom, all of Doom Eternal, Flawed Intellect, and I would say that it is actually equally as good as the original Doom. And I don't say that lightly.
I've tried it. I like it. It's a great game. I'm never going to say anything bad about it. But I will say this. To me, they got too much of Splatterhouse in the Doom. They leaned a little too hard on the rip and tear.
But it definitely is an improvement over Doom 2016's punchy.
It's great. Don't let what I'm saying detract you in the slightest. It's a good game. It's worth every penny.
Actually, paid full price.
I just the old Grognard. I like Splatterhouse, I like Doom, but I like to keep them differentiated.
And as I say, it's kind of funny. I was like, yeah, there's not as much ripping and tearing. Meanwhile, I'm like ripping and tearing everything. Just ignore me.
My complaint about the last Doom 2016 was I spent too much time ripping and tearing. I went back through to check my stats. 98% of my kills were glory kills.
Damn. It definitely did feel like that, that is for sure. Now, as of today, I've got a number of books that I recommend everyone check out. One of which is, it feels like it was written by the reincarnated Terry Pratchett. It's called Interstellar Caveman. It's about a British guy that gets frozen and woken up in, like, the year 3000. No, 4000. And no, it's not a ripoff of Futurama. Even though there is a smart-mouthed robot, but ignore that. I just realized that it's kind of...
Futurama did not bring forward the smart-ass robot. That was really something that's kind of been around since Hitchhiker's Guide.
Well, I don't feel so bad about that then. But it feels very much like a Terry Pratchett novel. To the point where there's a lot of good absurd humor. Not even really like absurd humor, and yet it worked pretty well. And I've also finally started reading the last... Well, it's not the last, but it's the most current produced Monster Hunter book. It is also pretty damn good. It's actually an example of a book that actually can do a female character right.
Yeah, on that front of female characters being done right, I'm up in the air about the new Dune movie.
There's a new Dune movie?
And it's being worked on. It's basically as soon as the theaters can be openable, it's either going to come to theaters or it's going to be streamed.
Is it actually going to be based upon a plotline from the book, or is it going to be like Children of Dune and be, you know, like some sort of a weird prequel, alternate universe kind of thing?
Oh, it's... Well, barring the one change they've announced, it's actually going to be the original story of Arrakis, the battle. You're getting the War of Assassins on Arrakis.
But instead of Paul Atreides, it's going to be Paulina Atreides then.
No, they haven't messed with that, although the change is they're gender swapping Chani's parent. So it's no longer Chani's father. But that being said, for the story of the War of Assassins on Arrakis, it actually does not change anything, but for the lore, it changes a lot.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. That's not too bad then, especially considering what we have today.
What kills me is, of all of the IP out there that you could have said, oh, we need representation, what do we got the planet? Freaking Dune. Have they not read Dune? The most important characters generally are female. I mean, you have the Bene Gesserit, you have the Bene Tilax.
You know how it goes. At least they didn't make it Paulina Atreides. Because even I would have been pissed off at that.
That would have completely screwed everything.
Because you know they probably wanted to.
Well, here's the thing. Paul Atreides actually, in the overall extent of Dune lore, he's actually not that important. His children are.
I don't want to spoil something, but I thought like he actually became like, you know, the first God Emperor, I thought? Unless I'm thinking of somebody else.
I'm not going to spoil it, but sorta, and at the same time, no.
Because, like, I thought that was him. At least that's what I remember.
I'll have to go over that with you, but I'm not going to spoil it for everyone else here, because it's a really good book series. You should all read it.
My biggest problem with that is, like, the first book is really rough. You can... there's a lot of repeated lines and things of that nature. It's like, just get on with it already!
No, okay. I'll give... For those who are not quite into old school near messianic / messianic sci-fi, I'll give you a pass at the first book, even though it's one of my favorites. You can go Cliff's Notes there, because there's some synopsis and summaries which do a very good job of giving you all the details you need.
Yeah, like, I just could not really get that into it. The biggest problem I had was like the very first couple of chapters. You know, it's like they constantly go on about Arrakis, about it being a desert planet. It's like, just go there or just shut up about it.
Well, no, there's a reason for it. It's because Arrakis, literally, 48 hours of exposure to Arrakis, you're dead. I don't care who you are. Unless you're in a still suit, you are dead.
Yeah, still.
Not just dead as in, oh, he died of dehydration. No, as in, you are now sandblasted. There is nothing but bones which are bleaching in the sun.
Still, it's just like they went on and on about it. I hate it when books go on and on about something and constantly repeat the same crap over and over again. Actually made me stop reading a Star Trek book just recently. It was the third book in the DS9 Millennium Trilogy. It's where they just, it's like, either go back in time or don't. Stop telling me about how you can't do it and just do it already. Maybe I'm less patient than I used to be, but still. There's my big problem with, like, event books in general. It's like, you know the characters are going to win, so stop dragging it out.
Well, here's the thing. With Dune, I wouldn't really call it a win.
Yeah, it's one of the more gray book series out there from what I recall.
And Anthony Jordan, yes, get the collected original Dawn of War. 2, you may or may not want to get because it's more small unit tactics. 3, avoid. But the best thing you can do is, once you get the collected 1,
mod the shit out of it.
Yes, the Ultimate Apocalypse mod is awesome. You need to try that. It is insanity. It is hilarity. It is not balanced, I'll be absolutely honest, but that's part of the appeal.
My favorite mod from way back in the day, I imagine it's been rolled into other mods by this point, was the Armageddon Steel Legion. I absolutely love that mod.
Yes, that is being folded into other mods to include Ultimate Apocalypse, and it's just as glorious as it always was.
That was actually the first time I ever saw and ever got to control what was basically a Stug 3, except it shot lasers.
And Anthony, yeah, Dune can be pretty darn dark. It is what inspired 40K.
It's actually kind of uncanny just how much Dune inspired 40K. It's kind of...
Well, if not for Dune, we wouldn't have Star Wars.
No!
We'd have a little bit less Trek, and we definitely would not have 40K.
I'm glad to see that 40K is still popular at this point. Because I remember being a fan of it back when no one really cared. Or at least it seemed like no one cared. Hey, what got you into 40K?
Basically, what got me into it was you gotta understand, it's the mid-90s, and there was no real 40K at the time. There was Rogue Trader, and then there was essentially what was Adeptus Titanicus. Adeptus Titanicus is what got me into 40K.
Mine was much less cool than that. Warhammer 40K Fire Warrior, the game, is what actually got me to take a look at it. Because I'd seen the books in the various bookstores I went to, and I was like, 40K, what the hell is this? And I never really took the plunge until I finally played that game. And, well, I kind of got hooked from that. Fire Warrior isn't a good game, but it is one of the best 40K games because it shows all the units, and maybe not it only shows Chaos as a faction, but like you see Dreadnoughts in there and Chaos Dreadnoughts and things of that nature. And like if you've never seen anything 40K related before, that is actually a good gateway drug to that. Well, no, it was a good gateway drug at the time because that is a pre-Dawn of War game. Dawn of War is a better gateway drug than that.
Dawn of War is essentially silicon crack when you play it through and when you mod it. It's that good. It's not perfect, I'll be absolutely honest, but with mods, oh, it's close.
Let's see. Yes, I have played the Steam Doom 64. It's not bad, but I prefer Brutal Doom 64 a lot more, especially with Project Brutality. I do not know how to use a Switch, apparently. Let's see, 40K.
And yes, Orcs. Orcs is best.
See, when it comes to the Orcs, I would actually like to see more books written from their perspective. Because I think that'd actually be kind of interesting.
You need to read Death Squadron. It's a comic, but it's written from their perspective, and it's a bloody riot. It's hilarious.
Oh, Death Squadron. Yeah, I've heard about that, but never actually read it before, though. Oh, I am real. No, I'm not hurt. I actually read a couple of 40K comics, one of which was Tau related. It was the one that spawned the infamous. I don't know, is that really infamous? Because infamous means bad, and I don't think that's really bad. It spawned the famous meme, move closer, I want to hit them with my sword. It has the comic panel where that actually happens. And that comic wasn't bad, but it wasn't that great either. Okay, hold on a second. I cannot hear you right now. Or at least not well. One moment, let me... If I bump your audio... I think my audio is the one that's messed up at the moment. Let's turn the game down a little bit.
I will say this. I am really happy that we finally got a reissue of the Dune board game. That makes me very happy.
I just can never really get into board games and stuff like that. I mean, I always want to, but it's just like... It's very hard for me to...
I'll be absolutely honest. The Dune board game is almost chess levels of complex. It's almost scary how complex it can get. And I say that as in... It can actually intimidate some players, but when you get multiple players who know what they're doing, yeah, you realize that it's absurdly deep, it's Machiavellian, and there's backstabbing all across the board.
See, when you say complex, that makes me immediately want to run away, because I find Settlers of Catan too complex.
This is not as... You don't hit the wall like you do with Settlers of Catan, but you got to be real careful because unless you have a storm that's constantly brewing on the planet of Arrakis, you also got Worm Sign, which, you know, randomly travels, and there's different ways which you can screw up, which can really hurt that you don't realize you've done it until you've done it.
Grab it. That sounds almost as bad as that railroad stock trading board game. My question is this. Who decided that was... Who thought that was a good idea to make? Which I guess apparently it made some money, but who buys that, though?
Which one? Ticket to Ride, or...?
I didn't even know there were two. I thought that was just
There's a few railroad-based board games.
See, like, if I'm like an ultra nerd, what kind of nerd is that? The kind that's going to be super rich by age 20?
Well, if it's Ticket to Ride, it's kind of hard to put into words. That's something best played with friends, because once you learn it, you learn that there's little things that you can do that can slowly influence your railroad empire.
The Railroad Empire.
I'm not going to talk bad about Ticket to Ride, because I kind of enjoy it. Now, you want to talk super nerdy in terms of games? Harpoon.
Grab it.
That's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, you mentioned that. That's the one where you, it's basically a naval command game of some description.
Yeah, it's mandatory playing at West Point. You're not going to get through West Point without reading Heinlein and without playing Harpoon.
Games for those who want to... They're not only overachievers, but they're people that are basically going to control the overachievers.
Generally, yeah, if you're at West Point and you're playing that, you're usually going to end up at least controlling a destroyer.
So, yeah. I guess I'm just kind of lazy when it comes to games. I just don't... It doesn't sound that fun to me. I just want to hit things with my sword, even though I don't have a sword yet. Oh, wait, do I? I do! Haha! Oh, wait, that's a massive spoiler, but... please ignore the giant flaming broadsword in my hand. Wait, that could be really suggestive. I should probably not pull a dark side fill and have my giant flaming broadsword out.
At least not a camera.
Unless I was streaming on Pornhub, which I'm not sure if they actually allow streaming.
That's something for OnlyFans.
Oh my. Let's see here. New Dune film, 40K, Real Doom mods are overrated. I honestly don't think they're overrated. I think they were exactly what needed to be injected into the Doom community to keep Doom popular.
Maybe over-reviewed and over-focused upon, but I don't know about overrated.
Reaper Doom miniatures. Didn't even know that was a thing.
Reaper miniatures are usually really good. I've been a long time buyer of them. I used to collect the Sophie miniatures every time they'd release a few per year.
So I do not... Is there a Doom miniatures game?
There's a Wolfenstein tabletop game. Let me check to see if there's a Doom miniatures game.
Because I'm not surprised if such a thing existed. Also, this kind of rips off a little bit of Project Brutality, because you can do the same thing. Actually, Project Brutality does this a little bit better. This is the only time you ever turn into a Revenant, whereas in Project Brutality, it's a pickup you can find if you kill certain large demons. And I happen to like that quite a bit, especially on some of the harder Doom wads, because that really makes surviving in those much, much easier.
Okay,
and also,
there's an old Fantasy Flight Doom game, and apparently, yes, Reaper is working on Doom miniatures, though no specific game.
Although balancing Doom guy would be rather difficult, I would think.
Well, it's old school Doom.
Now, are you saying Doom or Dune?
Doom, D-O-O-M.
Okay, good. Still, though, balancing him is not going to be easy. But you guess you could have a...
Old school Doom, remember. Now, actually, there's Frag by Steve Jackson Games, which I could probably adapt. Which is basically a first-person shooter, the board game, or rather, to be more honest, Quake/Unreal Tournament, the board game.
So that might be interesting, though.
The place would be nice.
Doom would work, though. You could have, like, a bunch of little... where you go after, like, one Hell Priest. Versus trying to take on, like, all of Hell. Well, actually, you don't even really take on Hell in this. Which I guess they're leaving open for the third game. Doom 3 X2. I have not actually played this multiplayer, so I couldn't really tell you how this works in multiplayer. Because, honestly, modern-day Doom multiplayer does not really interest me. I played the multiplayer in Doom 2016 and found it to be kind of, well, boring.
Okay, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not sitting on Reaper's site past the... They made the models in 96, 97, which I will admit, I knew that to a degree. I just didn't know if they were making them available again. That's what I was hoping for, but apparently not.
Now, they made Doom miniatures back then?
Yeah.
Hmm.
They were pewter, but it's Reaper. They generally do pretty good pewter.
And that'd make for an interesting 40k game. Really polish and refine the formula. You never know. A Doom 3 X3 can still be fairly interesting. Now, I could leave this Revenant alive. However, rip and tear. Let's see. They released them on the Bethesda Prime. What's it say? I can't see what that says. It's too small. Playing COD Modern Warfare for the first time? Which Modern Warfare? The original from 2017 or the one from... Not 2017, 2007. Or the modern one. I have no idea if the modern one is good or bad or not, but from... When I played Advanced Warfare back in 2014, I found that game to be primarily cutscenes. Like, it was...
Yeah, it was pretty much a Kojima game.
Which kind of sucks, because the COD gameplay isn't bad. And they just don't let you actually play the game. They took the exact wrong lessons from Modern Warfare the first. But the one thing I love about 40k is just how that's kind of like the counterculture, you know, like game today because of the media climate. Whereas back when I got into it, it was just another kind of like darker sci-fi franchise. No one really cared. The more people try to take away things, the more people want them.
It depends. Sometimes it's always true.
And go. Oh?
Well, case in point, some of the Specialist 40k games, or Specialist GW games, I should be honest. Blood Bowl is a perennial hit. Man of War, I think me and like 6 other people were the only people who played it. Okay, yeah. Those new Doom figures on the Bethesda site do look good, but that's not the old Reapers.
And they're probably massively expensive.
Well, the statues are. Let me see. Scroll down and try to find.
Grenade! I'm going to spoil everyone for this game. The priest does not survive. He doesn't. Unless I stop playing the game, he will die. Badly. He will be ripped and torn. Hey, you got your first laptop, eh? What laptop? I actually didn't get my first laptop that I actually owned until about that same time. I still have it. It's a gateway.
The miniatures are out of stock. It was a complete collection. Actually, I'm sorry, it is the old 96, 97 Reaper collection. Yeah, they are ridiculously priced because, I'm sorry, I'm not paying $200 for that much pewter. I'm a 40k fan, and I will tell you that's massively freaking overpriced. Reaper would have never charged that much because back then the figures were like $5 a pop, and for what you got there, it would have cost you about $45 tops.
But this is Bethesda, and I wanted to get that Doom guy statue, but I'm not paying $300 for a goddamn statue that will eventually just be put in a box and probably lost or broken or something like that.
And the sad part is, me as a hobbyist, I'm looking at the miniatures like, I could recast those. I should recast those, given the fact what Bethesda's charging. Good lord.
But that's Bethesda. They gotta make money somehow, because nobody's playing Vault 76.
It's good reason nobody's playing Fallout 76. It's the pathetic slap in the face. It's like being choked by a midget. It's like you just want to say, okay, either get it over with or get the hell off my back.
I wonder, has Anthem died yet, or is it still hanging on for dear life at this point?
If you count 2 players right now, it's still hanging on for dear life. If we're being realistic, it's dead or not door.
Because that's another one of those EA cash grabs that is more microtransaction than game. I would have liked that to have actually been good, but there was no chance. I mean, Dragon Age 3 is pretty thin on plot, and I can only imagine how thin Anthem would have to be.
So thin they couldn't even get their lore straight. It's bad. It's terrible. And Foxtel, to recast those, I have to wait for them to get back in stock, and I need $200. Because that's basically something that I'm going to have to make multiple subs to make that money back.
Yeah, it's Doom. People would buy it.
Yeah, the problem is I can't exactly go onto eBay and say, oh, I'm selling recasts, because that'll get you banned too sweet.
They're just trying to help you out. If there's one thing eBay sold that I would love to buy if I was super rich, would be that aircraft carrier. That has nothing to do with miniatures, like, at all, but every time I think of, like...
actual aircraft carrier.
Yeah. Because, like, if I had, like, several $1 million, I would totally buy that. I mean, it's a total waste of money, but how awesome would it be to own your own aircraft carrier?
No, it's not a total waste of money. You could actually charge for, takeoff and landing of prop vehicles or helicopters. That'd be kind of cool.
Or, if this were a pulp universe, like, start your own, like, adventuring mercenary company.
Well, if you got the money to buy an aircraft carrier, probably got the cash to afford private troops.
But sadly, real life is just too boring for that. An HP laptop. Oh, I feel sorry for the... It's better than nothing, but goddamn do I hate HP... Or modern-day HP laptops, I should say. Because if it's like the one that I've used recently, you can't even open the bloody thing up without, like, completely disassembling the entire outer chassis. It's ridiculous. Okay, I do not remember where to go here. It's like, what the hell? Oh, I remember. I've already gotten through this part before. I'll figure it out eventually, because it's not that hard. War
Fox,
Junkie.
I understand. If I recast, that means I've got to essentially pull out the smelter. Really, it's basically a heating pot or pewter, and I have to basically spend another $200 on high temp silicone and go from there. That's what I say. I need more than just one buyer. I've got to have at least 5 buyers, because you've got the cost of miniatures, you got the cost of the pewter, and you got the cost of the silicone.
So basically, you have to do better than BioWare and Anthem then.
No, I only need 5 buyers. But I can't sell them on eBay. I need guaranteed buyers. I'm dropping, roughly to supply those 5. I'm dropping an initial investment of $1,200 into this.
Holy shit!
It's usually not that bad, but remember, high temp silicone ain't cheap. And if I'm going to remold something, I'm going to make sure it's as good as I can possibly get it. No air pockets, no seam lines, nothing. Basically, you take the miniature out of the package, you will give them a good wash of soap and water, prime, paint, done.
And Jacob, I'm pretty sure you can run Doom 1993, although it might lag. Although you might think I'm joking, GZ Doom actually does have some system requirements. They're not that steep.
Nutswad is going to lag on anything.
I tried to get that working once. It was not a good idea.
Oh no, it's like Crysis. I don't care what system you have, you will hit a point where you're going to lag.
Okay, now I gotta remember how this works. This game is definitely more complicated than I think people give it credit for. It's even after playing the beauty thing. Okay, I don't think I have to go back down. Oh, I remember now. You gotta jump down here. I think. Yeah, you jump down here, do that, and you go over here, you smack it, and there you go. Nutwad has been around for a long time.
Yeah, it existed before memes. It was, well, let me rephrase it. It existed before the most people realized what a meme was.
Now, what was the earliest internet meme?
Well, it wasn't an internet meme. It was essentially the idea of a shared knowledge. First meme was not internet related. The first meme is essentially, you'd have to date it after, you know, it's something that's always been around, but Dawkins kind of codified it.
So I guess that's, yeah, I guess like anything could like be a meme in some respects. Although the one that first...
Millhouse is not a meme, and the left cannot be.
Now that's a fact.
Both are memes. Those are actually both memes. Millhouse is not a meme, but Millhouse is not a meme is a meme.
Alright, I'm already confused.
Millhouse in and of himself is not a meme. There's nothing meme-worthy about it, but making fun of Millhouse by saying Millhouse is not a meme is mimetic.
This is why I like to just read my books and be quiet. It's like, wait, what? Oh, I get it. I get your humor. It's one of those Earth emotions, eh? Would Spock get memes, I wonder?
Well, he's capable of getting humor. Doesn't always hit home, but he's capable of getting humor. Now, I'm pretty certain that he would find Bob Newhart to be the epitome of humor, given how wry he is.
Grab it! Of course, that just gave me a bad, a scary thought. Data trying to meme. That would be painful. Much so,
well, there was times where he did actually feel human emotion, so technically possible.
Or when he was trying to just learn back on the Enterprise. It's so sad what they did to him in Star Trek Picard, but whatever.
It's non-canon. I'm sorry. STD, Picard, and all the bad reboot / hidden, secret base, all that stuff is non-canon because they say it's Prime Universe, but their definition of Prime is different. Their definition of Prime is the original series all the way up through Enterprise are not canon to that, so it's not Prime as we know it. It's their version of Prime.
Now, you say that, and way back in 2010, that was kind of already the case. I recently read, as in like in the last week read, a fairly obscure book called The Needs of the Many, which was a introduction to the Star Trek Online universe, which is slightly different from the mainline Trek universe, and definitely different from the Kelvin universe. In that, it differs from the novelverse in that there's no Borg invasion, and yeah, the Hobus supernova actually did happen, although they lampshade like how impossible that actually is. And there's a character in that book who remembers all the various timelines, including the Kelvin timeline, and it has literally driven him mad.
So Kelvin timeline will do that.
Because that's just that should be a meme in and of itself. It's a timeline so bad it literally drives people insane.
I'll endorse it. That being said, Star Trek Online wasn't bad, although when they started adopting the Kelvin stuff, it's like, oh, do you have to make us suffer?
Well, that is, to date, the only MMO I've ever played to level 50. And I even joined one of those little groups, clan, I think it's a clan. That is what those gaming people call those things in the video games. But yeah, I joined one of those from somebody I met at a con. What was it, Fleet 31 or something? I forget exactly what it was called. I donated my dilithium to them because I had no reason to even have dilithium by level 50. Because I wasn't going to pay for a ship. When they say free to play, I definitely am not gonna fucking pay for it.
Oh yeah, and that's a wise move. Like I think Star Trek Online was fun, and to a degree it still is. I got friends who still play. I'm just not into MMOs. Can't do it, man.
It's the least boring of all that I've tried to play, although it's one of those things where you kind of have to repeat yourself. It's just a game. It's like, in the career of your captain, you destroy more ships than probably exist in the actual, canon Klingon Empire. It's like, holy shit, every battle you destroy like 20 ships. It's like
Captain John Rambo.
Eventually they're going to run out of ships. How many did they make?
All that being said, I'm one of those weirdos. Give me the old Sega arcade cabinet of Star Trek.
Star Trek Strategic Operations Simulator?
Yes. It's goofy, it's simple, it's as 80s and cheesy as they come, but God bless, it was just fun.
And it had the greatest name ever. I guess it was the 80s, so they could get away with strategic operations. There we go. Strategic Ovulation Center. That sounds cool.
That sounds
It's a new dating game.
Like Ponfar. We don't talk about Ponfar, at least not on a pub chat.
Yeah, that definitely. Although I wonder how canon that. Well, I know it's canon, but I wonder how do the Vulcans really go through that, or is that just something some do? It's like, I just don't know.
In the original canon, i.e. Roddenberry's dream, yes, that is standard.
That just seems like I would not want to be a Vulcan. I'm just saying. That just sounds unpleasant.
Well, Roddenberry designs, species to have vulnerabilities, to be more human than human, or hyper-human, if you will.
It's interesting what he did. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. For me, I like the idea. I don't want to quit. Oh, I guess I do have to quit, don't I? Because I've already beaten the game. So I have to actually go to level select. I have not seen Star Trek Beyond. At all. I don't even know what the plot is.
It's not even good as a popcorn flick. I'll try to be positive and say this. We got a good pinball table out of it. That's my good thing I have to say about it.
Well, at least we got that. That'll make all 5 of the pinball fans. I mean, all 50, 100. There we go. 1,000, million pinball fans happy. Speaking of pinball, I actually inadvertently discovered the Hercules pinball table, which is 8 feet long and is absolutely massive. I would love to see
cue ball as the pinball.
I would like to see one of those in real life, just because that does seem interesting.
When properly sprung, I like how they play, but a lot of players don't, saying it's a little too simple.
One of these days, I'm going to have to actually sit down and look at pinball and try to understand. When you say simple, it's as far as I know, you spring a ball and you move the flippers and you try to get in a hole. I mean, wait, no, that sounds weird. But yeah, it's how complicated can that be?
Every pinball game's got different modes. For Hercules, you have drop targets which you want to hit, and you go on to your bonus multipliers and go from there. And it is pretty simple as pinball tables go. You're also going to have a heck of a time trying to nudge that table.
I would imagine. And
it's almost as big as my car.
That's either a big table or a small car.
Both. Let's put it this way, you could smuggle yourself at that table. You can literally climb into it.
Oh dear, that is a big-ass thing. Klingon Honor Guard, I intend to review that one day, but getting it to work on a modern system seems like it's going to be an exercise in frustration. You literally need sacred oils to make that thing work. Because it uses the Unreal 1 engine, it's never been patched. It's you can't buy it anymore. I have it, but actually getting that to work, I've seen the instructions on how to get it to work. Because there's a whole Reddit post that talks about it, but I have not yet done so. Now that is an unsung game. If it's as good as it looks. If it's as good as... Because it's definitely been forgotten, and there's not that many Star Trek first-person shooters. There's 3, including that one, so...
It's like Wheel of Time. It's the Unreal shooter that people just don't remember.
And so we'll see if it's actually worth the time at some point. Nope, I'm totally not going to be able to grab that. Let's see. Yeah, I have played the DS9 game for the Genesis, and it is... I don't think it's very good. I need to...
It's not. It was good for what it was, but understand, a lot of Star Trek games back then were not great.
Star Trek games in general just... And this is coming from the perspective of a big Star Trek fan. Star Trek games are never really as good as, say, a Star Wars game. They just aren't. And I'm not really sure... Well, actually, I kind of am sure why, to a degree. Because they don't have LucasArts behind them, so there's that, but...
Well, there were a few good ones, but really, Trek games until the advent of...
Nope, that's not going to work.
3D rendering was really something that's hard to pull off, because the old adventure games, they were fun, but they were slogs. And before that, before even the console games, you had essentially fan-made Star Trek games.
Now, I've not actually heard of any of those.
Well, Strategic Operations Simulator is essentially an arcadeized version of the first Star Trek game, which is, okay, it's stupid simple. You have a certain amount of bases that you need to protect.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean like those super ancient computer games that literally were coded in BASIC, I think, or something like that?
Yeah, you can code the original Star Trek game in QBasic, Atari. I programmed it in Atari Basic, and I suck at code.
See, that's one thing about Star Trek that I think people sometimes will forget. It's just how old Star Trek is. Because that's just...
Yeah, it's one of the... When you get past it, I mean, it's the basis of the first video games. It's sort of the basis for Space War.
So it's kind of like...
We wouldn't have a lot of space-based video games if not for Star Trek.
If only... Now, here's an interesting thing. What if LucasArts made a Star Trek game? Or...
That would have been a glorious future. That would have been something I would have loved to see.
Because we can already see how good Raven Software did with Elite Force. I think the best Star Trek game you could make would be something kind of like Elite Force, but with... Actually, no. A third-person, wide-open sandbox Star Trek game I think would be by far the best.
It still kills me that, Deck 9 was killed. That breaks my heart.
Yeah, that does suck.
Sherry Redstone, if you could ever hear this, please find the crew that did Deck 9. Stop screwing around with Bad Reboot and have that crew work on Trek for you, because it's clear they love Trek. They love Roddenberry's vision.
Now here's something that's actually kind of funny though. There is an equivalent to that for the Orville. It's on Steam right now, at least I think it is. Last time I looked. So, yeah. At least we have the Orville. That's something, at least. Something.
Yeah, it's closer to Roddenberry's vision than really New Trek is, and I'm thankful for that.
And yeah, Floating Link, I found the ledge. Eventually. You would think I would remember where this crap is, seeing as how I just recently finished the goddamn game. I'm going to blame the Kung Flu. It has literally rotted my brain.
Lung Pao Sicken.
Exactly. Smack him. I know everyone complained about the Marauder in this game, and we're not going to get to him today, but when we finally do get to him, he's not that hard. If I can do it, if I, the fairly average gamer can do that. Surely, you know, people who are way better at games than me can do that. I mean, come on. You wait for his eyes to turn green, and then you shoot him. That's not hard. Oh yeah, I forgot about this thing. Yeah, I'm gonna save it and use it on the Doom Hunter, the Cuphead 2 boss. Although now that I've heard that song enough, I can actually recognize that he's not saying 2, he's saying tuck. Because
yeah, but you're gonna get Nemors out there goofing off and just having fun, which is fine.
Yeah, one day I guess I should try Cuphead. I mean, that's really not my thing. And zap! It was kind of a waste, but I don't care. Yeah, because the Marauder's way easy. Star Trek. Is a skeleton vaguely resembling? Yeah, it kind of is. It's a Zambi. A Zambambo. Oh yeah, that's another book I want. That's another book I want to recommend as well. The Third Wave, Eidolon. It is a random book I got on Amazon because it actually sounded vaguely interesting and was. So here's a question, Rain. How would you reinvent the zombie concept?
Honestly, if anything, I would probably go with pseudo-rage virus. It's not something which completely removes all critical mental function, but something that makes a person extremely psychotic, resistant to pain, and quickly able to heal injuries.
Now see, that could work, but how about, instead of that, you have, due to, this is actually part of the synopsis, that's the whole reason why I bought this book, you instead have people's souls partially ripped out, and the only way for their soul to be fully ripped away from their body is they have to suck out the soul of another person. And they're driven insane by the sheer pain of having their soul partially ripped out.
Sounds actually kind of Dark Eldar-ish. It can work.
That's the whole reason I bought the book, because it's like, that sounds fucking hardcore for one, and for another, that's the most original zombie concept I've ever seen. And it was really, really good. The characters were pretty good. The overall plot moved around at a pretty good pace, and it wasn't a goddamn trilogy or a 5-book series. It was just one book and done. Just done. As much as I like that Interstellar Caveman book, as funny as it is, they of course had to make a trilogy out of it. And it's like, oh god, just end the book. You don't need to make a trilogy out of everything. But that Third Wave book is pretty good, and one of the great things about it is they don't have a Prepper Man character. I utterly despise the Prepper Man character because it's so
self-insert.
Yeah, because it's like, there was one of those Prepper Man books that I inadvertently got because it was like $1. Because you always find those kind of Prepper Man books for $1. And you can't not get it because it sounds just interesting enough to be worthy of your time. It's like usually like 150 pages long. But that one, I don't remember what it's called. But it's where there was some kind of, I think it was like a EMP pulse that shut down all the technology. And this guy wants to get to his Prepper compound. But he's trapped 3 states away. How is he going to get home? Well, inside of his Suburban. Yeah, it's always a Suburban. They always have a Chevrolet Suburban.
That's because the Suburban was a tough vehicle back then. And Survivalist was the first of them, really, to be pulpy. And it went into weird directions. It went from Survivor Man to, okay, now we've entered hard sci-fi.
Oh yeah, I remember reading a little bit about that. I've not read hardly anything in the series, but I read the Wikipedia article. But the Prepper Man in this, in his Suburban, he's got like $1,000 worth of gold. He's got multiple rifles. But his rifle, and this is one of those things where you can tell this is old, it's got a 3-round burst because he's cool, man. And he has a dog that's like super well trained to where it's almost a robot. Although, having talked to dog people, apparently you can train a dog to kind of do the stuff that dog in the book does. But still.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing. Dogs can be surprisingly intelligent. Most intelligent animals this household has ever had. was a German Shepherd by the name of Max, so I swear to God could understand every word out of your mouth. Just one of the sweetest dogs ever. Very, very protective of my nephew. And Czar. Czar was a goofy yet very intelligent wolf. Alaskan timber wolf, to be precise.
It still is just interesting thing, though, that of course he would have all that stuff, and the dog, and the gun, and the gold. What would he? What? I don't know what he'd do if his car was stolen. It's all we grab. But
in case you're walking,
it's always just kind of fun. Now, a lot of those books do get one thing wrong. Although the Eidolon guy, I read his author's foreword, and he was like, "Yeah, I know that technically this wouldn't happen, but plot." And so at least he's honest about it.
You know, really, I want to make a Clerk-style parody of Prepper Man in the Apocalypse. His car does get stolen. He's got, basically, now he's got to trek across country. I'm supposed to be here today. This isn't even supposed to be how the Apocalypse plays out, man.
I would totally read that, because, like, to me, the Prepper Man concept is just so... It is such a wank kind of thing. It's like... If, like, the apocalypse happened while I was at work, well, I'd already be home by now, but, with that in mind, if I was actually at the office, I'd be kind of screwed. Because my car is not filled with gold. It's just, he had so much gold in that car. I just can't get over how much gold he had in that. It's like, who drives around with $1,000 worth of gold? And of course he owned a gun shop. And he just got in a new gun, and of course he had it. And it was just...
Here's the thing. These days, actually, I would tell you to invest in silver. Because right now, that's really undervalued.
It always seems like it is. I actually did invest in some silver way back in the day, and it's... I remember I got 1 gram of gold from, like, a trade. I don't remember what I traded. And that is the one thing I've ever bought that has appreciated in value. Because at the time I got that, gold, a gram of gold was worth like $10. And now I think it's worth like 20 or something along those lines. Although one trade I do kind of regret is I did have a 1 peso gold coin once. I did make some profit off of that. I made like... I think it appreciated in value like $15. I was like, oh, I got $15 for this! Whereupon I promptly bought a smoothie and a book of coin values. Not the best use of my money, but I was like 15 at the time, so...
I don't know. The weirdest piece of money I have is... I don't have any silver outside of jewelry. I don't do golds because I just never have. It's not because I have an aversion to it, I just never really bothered. That was something my aunt did. That's not something I did. I was a silver guy. Now, in terms of weirdest money I own is a post-collapse Japan World War II banknote. Japan was so broke that they had to rely on Mexico to provide them money. So it is a Japanese peso. I shit thee not.
My God. You know you're screwed when you gotta when the peso is higher value than your money. As for the Marauder, I think he's a pretty cool boss. To be honest, I didn't think he was hard. You wait for the eyes to turn green and you shoot him. If I can figure this out, anyone can. It is not hard. I guess like if you're playing like on Ultra Nightmare, I guess he is, but on any reasonable difficulty, it's like wait for eyes to turn green, and then shoot in face. It is easy. It's the same way with the platforming. Why does everybody get a hate on the platforming? The platforming is great.
It's because they're not used to basically modern platformers or, you know, really Uncharted style platforming. That's really what it is. It's not bad, it's just, I'm going to call it out as what it is. It's Uncharted style platforming.
And eventually I need to play that game. And as soon as RPSX 3 can run it, I will. I mean, I will play it on my PS3. that does. It's
It's
still
not a bad series. It's pretty solid. But I'll warn you right now that once you're done with it, you're done with it. You're probably not going to replay it.
I would not be surprised. I'm still trying to finish Tomb Raider 2013 again. It's one of those games. Actually, you know, I will say that Tomb Raider 2013 has a little bit of replay value. Because I played it all the way to completion back in 2015, have not touched it since, and I'm still having some fun with it, although it's taking me a while to actually complete it because it can get dull in places. Or a lot of places. But I happen to like the version of Lara Croft in that game.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I mean, for a modern day game, that's not too bad. Well, I think, like, one of those comic pros was complaining about it back in the day, saying, like, Laura should be, you know, LGB whatever, you know? It's like, really, does anyone care what she is? She's a video game protagonist.
They don't. They don't. I'll be absolutely honest. They don't care. They just use it as a way to push their politics.
I think it was the person that wrote the, what was that movie that failed recently that had, like, all the female supervillains in it?
Oh, the Birds of Prey? Yeah, that was awful.
And I remember the TV show wasn't that bad, from what I vaguely recall from it.
Well, like, here's the thing, man. If they went with a comic version, it could have been good. It could have been legitimately entertaining.
And what I say,
they can't go with a comic version because think of the women.
Because there was a TV show called Birds of Prey back in like the early 2000s or late 90s, and I don't think it was that bad. I think
it was mid 2000s. It wasn't terrible. It was fine.
I remember it was
perfectly watchable.
I think they were like trying to rip off Buffy a little bit from that show, though. But
oh yeah.
Sticky bomb. Didn't forget that I had the super shotgun. Yeah, me too. I don't really. The sticky bomb really is very OP. Very, very OP indeed. Oh, it's a Dell. Dell is not bad. And second to last level, we had a problem with platform. I just never had any problem with the platforming. I mean, this level here, I had a little bit of difficulty with the platforming, but after that, it's just not that bad. And once we get to the go on.
Tintan Man, yeah. The Birds of Prey movie, calling it that is an insult to fecal matter.
Yeah, because at least you can grow crops with that. That's one of those movies that I need to actually at least look at some of the clips of, just to see.
I'll warn you, it's gonna hurt.
Hey, I've already seen the foul-mouthed Admiral scene from Star Trek Picard. That's one of those things
No, it's worse than that. It is just condensed cringe.
Oh, let me guess. It's like all girl power. It makes Captain Marvel look good, I guess.
It's not quite that bad, but it's pretty darn close.
It's not surprising, though. I mean, with the DC movies, it's one step forward and all the steps back. Just all the steps back. I mean, you would think that the DC films wouldn't be that bad, seeing as how they really kind of kicked off, well, superheroes in general, with Batman '89 and, you know, Superman back in the '70s.
Okay, you're trying to apply logic to the illogical here, man. They're out of touch. You've got people who are writing for DC and for Marvel and all that are more interested in politics than they are in creating something that's both good and profitable.
Yeah.
Create something good, it will be profitable. You create something generally. It's not a hard and fast axiom. But if you create something that's crap, generally you're going to lose money.
See, like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe works so well because if you notice, it was a fairly basic superhero franchise. There weren't any politics in it.
Weren't. There are now.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at that, but still. They kept that out, you know, they made the stories comprehensible. Because some of the comic stories at the time and prior to the politicization of comics still were a bit hard to follow in some respects.
They are, but this isn't really the politicization of comics. It's a bad thing. Comics can be political. The thing is, you never ever insult your customer, and you never beat them over the head with your political values. You always leave it open-ended. Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, the whole lot of them understood that you have to respect your audience. You have to respect their intelligence.
No.
You have to let them make their own decisions. You may not agree with those decisions, but if you do not let them make their own decisions, if you try to propagandize them, you're essentially creating nothing of any value.
Pretty much. And people don't want it anymore. I mean,
we can't afford it anymore. Look at the outside world right now. Lung Pao Sicken, Kamipox, has pretty much put us all on edge. There's no room for one's quote-unquote feelings right now. This is survival.
Which I'm sure no one actually saw coming. It's such a waste of... Because I can't glory kill him, because he's too far away. Although, for me, my life is generally fairly solitary anyway, so it didn't really change much. Or, put it another way, now everyone gets to see how the other half lives. Welcome to my world. And we don't have cookies.
Unless you bake them yourself.
We have cake. Let's see here.
Some of us have cheesecakes, and because some of us like to cook.
Wait a second?
Some of us have cheesecake, so because some of us like to cook.
Cheesecake is surprisingly easy to make.
Exactly.
Who's sending me messages? One moment. Be entertaining. Dads.
So this one time at band camp, no, you will never hear one of those stories because I don't have any.
That wasn't entertaining at all. I'll force you to watch Rise of Skywalker 5 times in a row. No, that's too cruel. Okay, would you rather watch Rise of Skywalker 5 times in a row or Last Jedi 2 times in a row?
That's like saying, would you like a root canal or would you like to be stomped in the taint? Both are gonna hurt.
Cake is maybe a lie. It's always a lie.
Except for the cheesecake, it's a half-truth.
And yeah, disguising politics is something that can work, provided it's politics that aren't completely insane. I mean, Roddenberry did it with the that one episode of Star Trek, where with the people that had like the one black part of their face and one white part of their face. That was subtle enough. We got the message. I forget what that episode was even called, but I do know it had the guy who played the Riddler in it, the original Riddler.
Yeah. Well, like I say, even Roddenberry understands if you're going to put forth politics where the viewer is the one making the decision of what they learned, not if you do anything but what we tell you, you are evil, you are bad.
Let's see here. And yeah,
the viewer is always far more intelligent than you give them credit for, because if they're sticking around for a hard sci-fi show, they've generally got some understanding.
A bit more than people who watch 12 and counting. Just saying. Although I'm sure there's plenty of intelligent people who watch 12 and counting, but whatever. For those who don't know what that is, be thankful you don't. It's about some family that has like 12 kids or something. Now, this would be a difficult boss fight, but we've got a magic broadsword of great and I died. I fucking died. Oh, cut him up already! Ah, well, whatever. That was supposed to be more epic than it was. We got the Cuphead 2 song. I will admit, I happen to like the song quite a bit, especially with the chanting. Where is old Cuphead 2 anyway? There he is. I thought I'd do
an actual Cuphead 2 would take a while because the animation. Fucking like it's a multi-year project. That's not something you're gonna bash out.
I would not think so, because that's like half the game is the 30s animation. I never liked 30s animation. I'm not gonna lie. It's just not something that I'm into.
It's fine. Admittedly it is niche. It is not something that everybody appreciates. No, it is something you either love or you loathe. It was unique for its time, but it's not something that everybody appreciates.
And I like Looney Tunes well enough, but... And that, Fleischer... Not Spider-Man. Superman, there we go.
Yeah, Fleischer's Superman was actually really well animated. They kind of broke the budget there.
And that's where we got, Spider-Man... Why do I keep saying Spider-Man? God damn it. Where Superman could actually fly, among other things. And he fought Godzilla before Godzilla even existed.
Take that, Toho.
I wonder if they got any inspiration from that, though.
Possibly. I mean, remember, Japanese parody law is a lot different than the U.S. law.
Godzilla. At least that's one franchise I don't think it's been destroyed yet.
No, it's not been destroyed. Although, the turn of the millennium, good lord, did the U.S. try.
See, like, that's an example of a bad movie that's bad because it's bad, not because they put in a bunch of cringe. Or at least...
It was bad because it was just a really poor series of decisions, not because, let's put in a political manifesto.
I do know that the guy who made it was trying to get one over on Siskel and Ebert by making the mayor and the assistant look like them a little bit, but actually I think that's kind of funny more than anything else. That is one those two characters are the one saving grace of that movie. And the French guys weren't that bad either. But they kind of... But the big problem with that movie is the fact that Godzilla is, well, way too easy to take down. Like, way too easy. Like, seriously? 2 harpoon missiles? Are you joking? Are you joking? At least hit him with something. At least hit him with a Moab, assuming those existed in the late 90s.
Yes, they did. They definitely did. Want me to let you know how I know?
Oh.
Because I was locked on base when they accidentally dropped one.
Oops.
Yeah, I was stuck on base for 24 hours until they could dig a trench deep enough to blow it.
Does he not seek enhanced power?
That would not have been a good day.
No more conquest.
No, explaining to you're a teenager and explaining to your boss, hey, I can't come into work today. Why not? Base is on lockdown. Why are you on lockdown? Yeah, they accidentally dropped a Moab. What?
Dropped a big ass bomb that could, like... That's one of the largest non-nuclear explosive ever. Older generation of communists. Let's see. To watch Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker is probably better than Last Jedi, though. Corporate politics. And yeah, this boss fight was pretty good. It'd been a lot more difficult if I wasn't completely upgraded. Now, when it comes to a really good Godzilla movie, a modern day one, I of course always recommend Shin Godzilla. That is one of those films that is a rare treat.
I will agree. I'm still gonna swear by Destroy All Monsters because it's fave.
I have not seen that in many, many years. That's one of those movies that it takes place in the future of 1999. Or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's out of date now, but it's just a glorious movie. If you have any inclination towards a Godzilla film or any Kaiju films, you'll love it.
Oh yeah, the Project Nemesis books. I have read the first one, and I can read no more because they kind of creep me out. And how they creep me out, you might ask? Okay, so Project Nemesis is a Kaiju book, but the writer does not pull any punches at all. And when I mean at all, I mean literally this creature eats people. And there's one part of the book that grossed me out more than just about anything else, and that's where this kaiju eats this boat full of people, and there's a passage in there where these people are literally being dissolved in its stomach acid. I still remember that. I haven't read that book in over a decade. That is one of the grossest things I've ever read. I admit that most of my stuff is not horror-based, so I imagine, like, Clive Barker is way worse, but still.
Clive Barker can get pretty descriptive about how people meet their end. Or don't.
So, yeah, it's like... And yeah, some of the 40k books can get kind of nasty at times with chaos, but that was just like... yeah, I don't want to read about something being dissolved in stomach acid. I'm sure there's plenty of Rule 34 of that, but still. Or whatever the Vor rule is.
I'm pretty sure it's still 34, although I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who wish it weren't.
Yeah, Rule Slanesh, there we go.
Some things even Slanesh doesn't abide. I'm pretty sure that's one of them. Although Slanesh does abide cannibalism.
Slanesh. If I was going to have to follow the Chaos Gods, I would just go straight Khorne. At least, it can't be as painful as Slanesh. I hope.
No, your end will usually come quick and bloody.
See, I can live with that. Or die with that. Whatever, you know what I mean.
Or if you're worthy enough, live and die by that repeatedly.
Because, yeah. Give me a Khornate cultist any day. They just run directly at you and you shoot them.
Depends. You got a few different Khornate cults which actually don't run at you. They're actually very martially drilled and trained as much as any standardized guard unit of the Imperium.
Wait, was Bloodpack Khorne?
Yep.
I thought that was Tzeentch all this time.
No, they kept their martial honor up, so Khorne actually appreciated them. Although some of the lore behind them is apocryphal. I'm sorry, but here's the thing: in the lore, the old lore, Khorne does not abide psychers or magicians at all. And a specific piece of war gear called the Brass Collar of Khorne, designed specifically so champions can surprise psychers and warlocks. But that being said, Khorne is about personal strength, not about strength of, oh, well, I just spent the warp to become stronger. No, it's personal martial honor, personal strength, and feat of arms. So technically, while in the super old lore, he would pretty much kill any psyker on sight. If the psyker was just there to literally act as a gateway for Khornate forces and was a respectable warrior, he might let that slide.
That's one of those things where in 40k they kind of have to want psychers though, because how are they going to go anywhere?
Well, here's the thing. In terms of, there is a way without psychers. Like, every human has, barring nulls, have latent psychic ability. You get enough of them, and eventually one of them is going to be a little bit more powerful than others, and they're going to act as essentially a gateway.
I guess that could work. There's actually a fairly good YouTube channel about 40k called Voldemort. I highly recommend checking them out. Or checking him out. He's got a voice that really should be used in video games, audiobooks, and things of that nature. Because holy shit, I thought it was the very first of his videos that I clicked on. I thought it was an audiobook that had been uploaded to YouTube. He's just a regular guy with like the most perfect voice.
Oh yeah, he should definitely be doing VA work, and official VA work for Games Workshop products. He's really quite good.
I mean, it's insane. This guy is good. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought that he, it's nuts, and quite well worth listening to.
Imperialis, yeah, there's some surprisingly good fan content out there.
Yeah, actually had a thing on Chaos, which was pretty creepy. Talking about, well, if you got the God of Love, and he wants you to spread out flowers, well, that's what you're going to do, and you're going to leave your kids to starve, because the god is happy so long as you deliver flowers. He doesn't care about anything else. It's like, wow, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, the Chaos Gods feed on the extremes. Being slightly miffed does not, serve porn. Having a small plan does not serve Zenich. Being under a state of mild ennui does not serve Nurgle, and being slightly horny does not serve Slaanesh. It's the extremes that do. The wanting to gouge out your mailman's eyes with a spoon or disembowel somebody with a hammer, that serves corn. Wanting to do unspeakable lewd acts, which would get this channel demonetized, that serves Slaanesh. To, watch everything slowly rot away and or speed up the process, that serves Nurgle. To make a plan so convoluted, so absurd, and so full of betrayals, backstabbings, and general dickishness, that serves Zenich.
Just as planned. But yeah,
and listening to Stabbing Westward serve Malal. I'm sorry, I had to.
Malal. And I have not heard anything from them in like over a decade.
You and the rest of the 40k community, because the last time anything related to Malice or Malal was put up was Sons of Malice back in first 13th Black Crusade in 2004.
I'm at the band.
Oh, okay. Well, that too. Although much less time.
Randy Pitchford serves as Chaos Gods? Yeah, maybe.
Doomslayer's strength in 40k ratings, are we talking 8th edition or what edition? We're talking 8th edition, he's right at about strength 8.
Crap. As you say that, I punch the guy and it does nothing to him. Well, then he explodes, but I shot him. See, once they're staggered, that's when, like, Doomslayer really gets mad, and that's when his Rage Hall.
And Tin Man, no, Randy Pitchford does not. There's no Chaos God of being a greasy bastard.
Oh,
even
no.
Nurgle on that.
I was gonna say, Nurgle, he comes close.
Diseased greasy bastard, as in, pus, as in bodily grease, not as in slimy, disgusting, convoluted, just dickishness which achieves nothing.
And as you say, convoluted greasiness, we are literally in a convoluted greasiness. This is about the buff totem. I was going to talk about this in the review, but I could not get to this point fast enough to get the review out as fast as I wanted to, because it was going to take a while for me to get here, and I just did not really have that much time to play the game. But the buff totem concept is pretty cool, actually, because it really makes you kind of panicky. It's like, holy crap, how am I going to defeat all these guys in this one area, and like they're constantly getting reinforced. It's a really good idea. They should just use it a little bit more, I think. Now I have to remember how to get to this buff totem. This is the only really hard buff totem to get to. Because usually you don't have to teleport to it. And I will check the chat in a moment, as soon as I don't die. Yeah, so
no, 2020 is not the year of Nurgle. 2020 is the year of Rat. You want the year of Nurgle, you need to go back similarly to another 20s, but it's a couple of 100 years back.
Clan Pestilence. They've got the Cauldron of Disease. No one's going to get that. Actually, no. Somebody might get that because of Vermintide.
Yes.
I'm so surprised that Vermintide actually even exists. I mean, that is, like, amazing to me. It's like, it's a Warhammer game that is a ripoff. Well, not really a ripoff, but it's inspired by Left 4 Dead. And it's exactly what one would want from a Warhammer game. Although, it's utterly pointless now. There really shouldn't be a third game because everyone's already dead.
Well, it depends. If they're going by Mordheim rules, essentially there's multiple parties. You can go with that. Now, I am really surprised Mordheim exists as a video game. I am pleasantly surprised by that.
I have not played that yet.
And if we just get a Necromunda video game, I'll be, you know, happier than a pig in slop.
That's one of those things where you never know these days.
That or Gorka Morka, especially Gorka Morka.
An Auric-based first-person shooter. I could go for that. Or even third-person.
Well, it wouldn't be. It's not entirely a shooter. Gorka Morka is essentially orcs are stranded on a planet due to their rock breaking down, and it's a religious schism between the Gorkers and the Morkers, and essentially it's murder racing meets foot-based combat in a constantly evolving RPG system. Like your party in the tabletop, you start out with the boss, a couple youths, and you know whatever you can salvage, be it a truck or what have you. And you're out to get salvage for more teeth, and from there you can hire on more units. You get buy better gear. Your youths can actually grow up to be proper boys, or just die. That happens a lot.
You could rip off Mad Max and create something like that, I think.
Oh no, that's exactly what it is. It's Mad Morks.
No, I mean like the game. The game from 20... whatever the fuck it was.
But it didn't have to be like that. I'd be happy with it as a strategy game. It'd be great if it was, you know, like the Dreamcast game, where it was essentially that, just years ahead of its time. But you know, we never got that.
Yeah, it's probably 40k. Actually getting enough people to want to invest in that.
Oh no, it wasn't a problem with getting investors. It was a problem that it was due to be released right as the Dreamcast was dying.
Which, that's pretty sad in and of itself, the Dreamcast. I mean, that was one of those systems that really could have actually... The PS2 killed it, but then again...
No, the PS2 didn't even have a chance to kill it. What killed it was like Sega's financials. They were supporting 6 systems internationally.
You know, that actually reminds me, they did do that, but is that really what killed it? I always thought it was PS2, though.
Yeah, Sega couldn't afford to keep going. It was either, okay, drop the consoles and go to software only, or die.
Yeah, I guess they made the only decision they could, but... I don't get why they kept supporting all those systems, even the Master System. And I get that it was popular in Brazil, but...
It's because it sold. I mean, Tectoy still sells Master System and Genesis clones to this day.
But who honestly...
Brazil and buy them.
Who honestly buys a Master System in 2020?
You'd be surprised, because when your only other option is an Xbox One, which costs more than a year's pay, you generally go for, you know, whatever video games you can get.
That is expensive. Oh yeah, isn't there some sort of weird tax thing that like it makes it even more expensive than it would be normally?
Sony barely has any presence there whatsoever. Microsoft has a plant there, so they avoid the taxes, but it's still absurdly expensive. And Nintendo gave up on Brazil a while back.
Very interesting. I figured Nintendo gave up on it because, well, Nintendo can.
Well, no, it's too small of a market for them, and there's just the market that wants it can import it because they have the money.
Well, that does make me wonder, like, are PCs somewhat popular in Brazil? Because I imagine that'd be a much better option than trying to buy a console.
It's more expensive, but yeah, it's the better long-term solution over there.
Or like retro pies and things of that nature.
Retro pies are huge in Brazil, so because even with the tax, it's not that much.
You gotta love taxes. They're just trying to help you out, right?
Well, there is a legitimate reason for it, Brazil. I will say Brazil's got a lot of issues when it comes to corruption, politics, which I'm not going to get into here because it's way too much of a downer. But yeah, there actually is a point to the tax.
Besides, American politics are depressing enough. I don't need to hear about someone else's.
This is the heart of the nest.
Especially now, thanks to the flu of the Kung.
Yeah.
Now, my big problem with this level...
Vicious.
Yes. Well, I guess at least our government isn't quite as corrupt as it could be. Even if it's still pretty damn corrupt.
There's pockets where it is absolutely, but if you're living in middle America, you're kind of blessed with the fact that you get to avoid a lot of it. If the left considers your side a flyover state, you're generally pretty good.
Thank you for that. Well, now Texas isn't quite as flyover as it used to be. Jump grenade.
And yeah, flawed intellect. I've got a friend in Brazil who is really, really big on PC gaming.
Truly
Although they will still admit to playing, you know, their Master System and their Mega Drives because, well, it's there, it's fun. Why not?
So you could go right now to Brazil and buy a brand new Master System. And what, like a new copy of Shinobi or Sonic the Hedgehog or something?
Yeah, and they're as you stated, they're still making new games for them occasionally.
Now, when you say new games, like ports of something, or like
Sometimes ports, sometimes translations to, you know, to get things going along. As you're not going to see a lot of new games, but you will see like one of the releases of the Genesis, Mega Drive 3, I think, which is different than our Mega Drive 3, has actually a separate board in it and a Guitar Hero style game built into it.
that's pretty nutty. Guitar Hero for Genesis. I need to look that up because that sounds fairly interesting.
Well, it's its own separate. It's basically, imagine a daughter board.
And I went the exact wrong direction. I imagine Genesis fans are very happy that it's still alive and well there.
And yes, there are built-in games. That was actually part of that is the old software revision of the Master System. The Master System could support built-in revisions of games. The Generation 1, Generation 2 Master System either had Snail Maze as a built-in game, or you had Alex Kidd as a built-in game.
Which I gotta say, I know people love Alex Kidd in Miracle World. I still think that is a crappy game. I mean, I did a review of that, and I was not kind to it. I think
it's understandable. It's one of those things that you either are used to it and grew up with it, or you didn't. For me being a PC Engine fan, it's Keith Courage. Keith Courage is hated, absolutely hated. And to me, it's just like, okay, it's an average licensed game. It's not great, it's not bad.
My biggest problem with Alex Kidd, because I never played Kid Courage or Keith. Would you say Keith or Kid?
Keith Courage.
Okay. My big problem with Alex Kidd is just the fact that the jumping is so stiff. It's very hard to actually, you know, land a blow on an enemy, and it's just, to me, it's just not that
it's
fun.
old school. It's old school, you know, pre-optimized platforming. As for the Dreamcast, it sort of was. It was still very, very expensive back then, remember? I mean, the Saturn really was a non-point in Brazil. It was there, but it had no market hit because it was so expensive. And the Dreamcast, almost doubly so. There are enthusiasts out there. Like, Casino is... My gaming friend in Brazil, he is a big Dreamcast enthusiast. He just got done GDMU modding his Dreamcast, so now he's got the entire library right there on a series of SD cards.
Eventually I need to do that to my Dreamcast, because my Dreamcast unfortunately died. Well, no, it's not dead. The disk drive is dead.
Well, if it's a revision 0 or 1, you can do that. Although right now, wait, because there's a new optical drive being developed by optical drive replacement being developed by Terra Onion, which will accept SSDs.
Nice.
The generator is in a
Let's see. Felix the Cat Russian bootleg?
Oh, you mean Pekapau?
No. I'm not surprised the Russians bootleg that, but Why Felix
Well,
the Cat?
the NES was bootlegged in Russia. You can't. Yaroslav, I've had many conversations with him that, you know, his first system wasn't a console as we know it. It was basically a clone of the Sinclair ZX Spectrum.
That was cloned? Really?
Well, remember, this is 1980s Russia. They're behind the Iron Curtain. You can't get modern tech there. At least not at that time, because it was all verboten. You had to clone it. And as the ZX Spectrum was all off-the-shelf components, it was easy to clone.
I guess. It's just like, I get that people love the Specky, but that's one of those things. You probably had to be alive when that was a thing to really appreciate it.
That and his first real console was essentially a clone. It was the Dindy, which is their clone of the NES.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I would actually rather have, like an NES clone than a Specky clone, just because I can't. The graphics on an NES is just so much better. Those home PCs of the day.
Well, it's no contest. It's like, but here's the thing: with a ZX Spectrum and ZX Spectrum clone, your games are so much cheaper. You're spending like $1 to maybe a tenner for a game on a Spectrum game. It's nothing. Cheap as chips. You can walk away, even in Soviet Russia, with a handful of games for not that much skin off your nose. But a game for the Dindy, that's sometimes 2 to 5 times as expensive. You have to be really careful. You didn't get a lot of those games.
I guess that does make some sense, but for me it's like, maybe I've only seen like some of the really kind of crappy, Specky games, so that could be like coloring my impressions of that thing.
Yeah, good fun.
I will need to see what that is as soon as I'm not dying.
No, I'm referring to Specky coloring your impressions.
Oh my god, I totally planned it. I totally planned it. Totally planned it. That went over my head. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna blame the virus. It's rotted my brain and turned me into a zombie. Hey, have you heard the good word about socialism? I mean, no, I probably shouldn't say it on YouTube.
Yeah, the good word's called helicopters.
Oh my. Wait, they're gonna give us free helicopters?
Rides.
Sweet, free helicopter ride. Although honestly, in a non-negative,
Anything won't be great.
well, you can't get everything. Although honestly, helicopter rides are actually surprisingly expensive. It's like $80 for like 20 minutes.
It's actually why I'm considering, eventually, if I can get the business rolling, finishing out my flight hours and getting FAA certified, picking up, basically taking down a loan, picking up a used Robinson Raven R44-2, and just saying, okay, well, guess what? My side business is I take people on aerial helicopter hog cullings.
I see, that sounds kind of cool. Although it's not exactly sporting. It's like,
It's not supposed to be sporting. They're hogs. They're taking over everything.
why not? I'm just thinking like your random hog just rooting in the grass, and all of a sudden, like, Ride of the Valkyrie starts playing.
Oh, you go. I'll toss you the link to the footage when possible. Trust me, it's more than just like 1 or 2 hogs running. We're talking like masses, waves of freaking hogs, like something out of a video game.
It's a giant hog army. You had to call in air support, and literally call in chopper support.
Pretty much. I mean, hell, Lucas Botkin and Rantham, they killed over 60 hogs on their last expedition.
And sadly, that's sort of a drop in the bucket. For those who don't know, there's something like 3 million feral hogs, and they're like really damaging the ecosystems because they, well, are hogs. They'll eat anything.
To include deer.
Oh yeah, not fun. I didn't check the old. Dreamcast reviews. I think I did one once, many years ago. It's just adding that to all the other reviews that I'm doing, and the fact that I don't have time even for those. The one Dreamcast game I can think of right now off the top of my head that I would want to review would be Dynamite Deca. That is the first game I ever played for the Dreamcast, and it's pretty damn good.
And Komodo 65 Grindle's pretty solid as cartridges go. Welcome here.
And it sounds cool. Let's just be reasonable. It's called Grindle.
They didn't have violence censored really in Russia. That most of the stuff that was censored, generally, my friends in Romania have. We've talked many nights about this, and as well Yaroslav with him in Russia. Most of the censorship in their games came from pirated Euro copies, where they had to get by Germany's censorship.
Zombie Revenge. Never even heard of it.
Excellent brawler. It's goofy, it's stupid, it's hilarious. It's got the worst / best voice acting.
Oh wait, Zombie.
It's worth the price of admission.
I remember that one now. Yeah, I actually did a live stream of that. Like, over a year ago now. I completely forgot. It was something, alright. I need to actually try that again. But yeah, definitely I want to do Dynamite Deca. That's the one that always sticks out of my mind, even if I forget all the others. There's also one where you play as the various Capcom fighters as well. And fight...
That's Cannon Spike.
That is a weird name. No wonder I didn't remember it. My god, you get so old you forget everything now.
The only reason I remember is that I actually got a hard copy.
Oh. I don't know, Dreamcast games gone up in price?
Yeah, they sadly have.
What hasn't gone up in price when it comes to games? Especially...
right now, the things you want to focus on are Wii U games and original Xbox games, because those are going to go up in price. They haven't yet.
And I'm glad I got a decent collection of original Xbox, but Wii U... That's
Wii,
what I say.
Wii U and PS2 really are going to go up. So, to anybody here, I don't want to be the one to raise the prices, and I'm just going to buy it now before Angry Video Gamer Nerd starts making videos, because that's going to raise it.
Thankfully...
Nothing against James Rolfe, but every time he releases a video, the prices shoot up.
Let me guess, Pepsi Man was like $1, and now it's like over 100.
Oh no, it wasn't. It was never $1, but it was before he and Taco Man Plays a Game put out videos. It was like $30, and now it's just it's at that point really emulate. There's no shame in emulation at that point. It's just too much money.
Yeah, I want to know how much Mega Man X3 goes for now, because I remember back. Hey, go on.
We're at about the 115, 200 mark, not counting if it's boxed, in which case it shoots up massively.
Okay, so it's not that much more than it was back when I first got into the retro gaming scene. Because that was one of the first games I emulated after Super Mario for the NES. Because that was a game I knew I would never buy, because I wasn't going to pay $100 for... Wait, say again?
It's ridiculously priced.
I guess it's because it was one of the last Super Nintendo games.
Well, that and the fact that it was limited release. They didn't release that many of it. Mainly because in Japan, they had translated Saturn.
I mean, yeah, you can go.
That being said, from these days, if you're running OEM hardware, go ahead and get yourself flash carts, multi-carts, good ones. I would highly suggest Crix and his work. If you don't want to go with original hardware, look up the Mister project, and that is absolutely... FPGA is essentially the future of retro gaming, because it's relatively low cost, it's buy once, cry once, and that's it. It runs cycle accurate. It's indistinguishable from original hardware.
See, I can deal with just regular emulation. Although, after playing Revenge of Shinobi, I can definitely see the merit in using, like, original tube stuff, though. Because that water...
Or at least as accurate as you can get.
I will say this, though. RetroRock is definitely more accurate than, like, the old Genesis emulators that used to be around.
Well, remember, that was Bloodlust Software back in the day. You had Nesticle and Genesis. Those are the first, emulators for those two consoles.
Things have definitely come a long way, especially in terms of NES emulation. The point where you can get high-res texture packs for NES games. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are we going to review Fallout New Vegas? I will get to that at some point. I was originally going to review it way back in 2014, but ultimately did not have time. Yes, I want to review that goddamn game because it is really, really good. It's just there's so many other games! So many other games! I'm just one man!
If you can mod your Xbox, you can soft mod it to install, a bigger and more reliable hard drive or SSD, do so. And always remove that clock capacitor because that will kill your Xbox.
I imagine the one that's in the garage is long since dead then.
No, if it hadn't been powered on for a while, chances are it's fine, but you're going to eventually need to locate and cut off that clock capacitor.
Oh, well. Excellent then. Means it may still be alive, even though I have no idea where it is in the garage. Oh man, I'm so dead. No, I'm not gonna die. Although I do need to kill something. With that chainsaw!
And yeah, there's feel no shame for emulation, because as long as you're having fun, that's what matters.
And see, when it comes
gaming is not a religion.
See, when it comes to emulation, what you do is you just don't tell anybody that you're emulating. That's the
Here's the thing. I have OEM hardware. I have over 35 consoles of OEM hardware. Almost every US released console and quite a few of the Japanese ones. Even I emulate.
Here's another thing for emulation. If it wasn't for that, I would probably not have as many consoles as I do, so there's that. PS2 game. I do have quite a PS2 collection. Jackie Chan Stuntmaster. That is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, just emulate that. It's a fun little game, but it's not worth the asking price.
And its emulation is very, very, very helpful when it comes to trying to make videos. Because I'm playing perfectly legally Turok 3, and being able to use save states is so much easier. When I did Turok 1 and 2, I did play on the original hardware, and that was utter hell. I'm not doing that again.
Yeah, the only way to capture video footage of unemulated retro consoles is the system has to be modded for RGB out, and you're going to have to either pump that video to an RGB frame meister, which you don't because
Wait, you're cutting out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. You can either pump the RGB video from your modded console to an RGB mini frame meister, which I don't recommend you do, because while it was cool for its era and while it was very good, it introduces lag. These days, the option is the OSSC, the open source scan converter, and while very good, you're still talking hundreds of dollars in mods for consoles. I'm in the process of modding my consoles, and I had to stop for a bit because it's expensive.
Now there are some ways around some of that. Like you can hook it up to a VCR. I did that. That was horrible.
But that's low quality footage. That's sub 240p footage.
It certainly, yeah. Look at those old Turok videos.
Yeah, it's what you had at the time. You can't be blamed for that, because back then a frame meister would have cost you $400, and the mod for the N64 was still pretty new at that time, and it would have cost you another $250.
I certainly didn't have that back in those days, that's for sure. Let's see, how long have we gone? An hour 54? We'll do one more mission. And yeah, with Retroic, being able to play games like Streets of Rage Online is quite enjoyable. I actually played all the way through Donkey Kong 1 online. There was a lot of lag, but that's a pretty damn good game co-op, even to this day. God damn, it's Donkey Kong hard, but Revenge of Shinobi is even worse. I know it's for a completely different system, and it's a ninja game, but still. I think Donkey Kong...
Because you have different timing. You have a double jump, which has a frame window of 5 frames, and you're playing via emulation, which can have a lag window of 2 to 6 frames. So you either have to pre-predict your jump and get that timing in your head, or pray to the tech gods that the lag is not bad enough that it affects you that badly.
I do the latter rather than the former, and hit F2 a lot.
Well, there's no shame in that. Like I say, that game is not easy. It's not the hardest game out there, but it's not easy. Platforming in it gets harder than on its sequel, Shinobi 3: Return of the Ninja Master. In that game, the platforming only generally gets hard on the last level.
It is definitely, and it's not even a stiff game either. It's just, you've got to do that jump exactly when that game wants you to. And in this playthrough, I'm going to try to get to the Marauder. Because I haven't going that long, and I want to do that just because I want to show that it's not a particularly difficult boss fight. Now watch, I die a bunch. Nah, if I didn't die a bunch the first time, there's no way I'm going to die a bunch now. Although, I think this is actually a fairly long level, so I might not... I don't know, we'll see. We shall see. Although now we're starting to really get serious arenas, because there's hell doors. See, I kind of have to question the logic of the hell door, because, okay, if the hell door exists, why don't they just surround the Doomslayer in hell doors that he can't get through?
Probably because it takes too much magic to keep them up.
I guess that works, but I don't know. I absolutely love this chain gun. This has been substantially improved from the first game. It just shreds everything. The blood punch I'm still kind of ambivalent about, but yeah, I can live with it. Snorzies, huh? Let's see what kind of chips. Bakey cakey crumbs. Oh, that sounds great. And sushi flavored candy. You know, I've not eaten any sushi ever. I do not have any desire to eat raw fish. It's just not something that appeals.
Only thing you could do is quote-unquote sushi flavored candy would probably be, at the best, one of my favorites, although it's very divisive as in terms of what it is squid jerky.
That sounds...
Even then, it's, yeah, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it.
What can I say? I have a very unrefined palate.
Well, it's not a matter of refined palate, it's a matter of, hey, are you used to this? You grew up eating this?
And, most decidedly, no. Because...
Then you probably won't like it. I mean, you might want to try it, because it's relatively cheap enough to try. If you don't like it, just seal the bag up and throw it away.
Like, squid anything. I've had calamari. I found it to be a bit salty, but it just... Yeah. I'm not a big seafood guy to begin with. At the best of times.
Yeah, you probably won't like it. Now, sushi itself generally is a pretty mild flavor in terms of seafood. It's not... If your experience with seafood is like catfish, you're going to find it a lot more mild than that.
Huh. Still though, raw fish, I don't know. Seems kind of dubious. I'm reminded of The Simpsons. Yeah, he had fugu, but still.
Oh no, here's the thing. As long as you're not getting like gas station sushi, you're safe.
Because when I think of food to get at a gas station, the first thing that comes to my mind is sushi.
I know, right? It's like, no, not ever.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not even a food snob. It's just no. That's a bad idea.
I've never actually bought any food at a gas station, nor do I intend to ever do so. Well, when I say food, non-prepackaged food, let's say.
Well, it depends. Some are good. Like, sometimes you can go to like Circle K, and they've got like the breakfast taquitos and breakfast burritos. Those are actually not too bad. It's a safe bet.
See, like, I can't eat crap like that just because it always gives me a stomach ache. My stomach is not made of iron or steel. It's brass.
That's unbelievable.
It's a weak metal.
Now, that being said, I wish we had the gas stations that Japan and Taiwan had. Or Korea, even. Those actually are not like your traditional, convenience store. Those are, you can get damn good food there. Good lord.
It's weird to me that 7-Eleven actually has a presence in Japan. I mean, you wouldn't think it.
They have but outside of Lawson's, they have one of the biggest presences in Japan. That's the whole reason I know about 7-Eleven in Japan, is because my grandmother used to work for 7-Eleven in the financial department, and I've been there, and good lord, it's just so much different. The stores are clean, the staff is helpful and friendly, the food's freaking awesome. I was like, where did we go wrong here in the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, that does not sound like a gas station. See, like, for me, when I think of gas stations, I actually almost miss, like, the old automated ones, because there used to be gas stations that had no people there. There were none.
I'm going to show my age here. I remember when full-service gas stations were the norm, not the exception, where you pumping your own gas was rare.
See, that's something I was not alive for that. I never experienced that. I'm not even... With me being fairly non-sociable, I would be more nervous to do that just because, well, people. What can I say? The social distance...
Back then, it was actually kind of cool because, you had somebody on staff who generally knew their job, was paid decently for their job. I mean, they weren't, it was above minimum wage. And generally, you got, you got that. You got full service. They do a quick wipe down of the car, they clean the windshields, gas you up, check your oil, and check your tires. It was pretty cool.
Reminds me of Back to the Future. The real 2010 didn't bring that back, sadly.
I'm surprised it didn't, really, because outside of New Jersey, where that's mandatory, there's no self-pump. I could see that being the boutique thing. I mean, it would have sucked come 2006, 2008 when the recession hit. But post-recession, yeah, I could see that coming back too, because customer service is something that sells.
Yeah, I think they probably just don't want to pay their employees enough to do such a thing, though. That's always a major issue. I've actually used a UTG scope. Well, no, not the scope, but a red dot, and it worked for me, but that's a red dot from around 2016. It was good, but I got one somewhat recently, and it was actually pretty bad.
Honestly, get yourself a Hollow Sun if you need to go inexpensive for glass. It's durable, it's proven. It actually works almost as well as my pet glass aim points and, my affinity for German glass. Which almost hurts me to say.
I find that amusing. But then again, unfortunately, I get the feeling that Hollow Suns are going to be a bit scarce just because it is a Chinese product.
Nah, they'll move their production to the Philippines and to Taiwan.
Well, I guess that works. Doom 64 on the Xbox. Yeah, Doom 64 was pretty good. My biggest problem with the original was you couldn't jump. And by the late 90s when that came out, it just seemed kind of, well, obsolete in some respects. Because by that point...
I remember, outside of Turok 1 and 2, there was a lot of jumping in first-person shooters. You didn't have it GoldenEye.
Yeah, that's true. GoldenEye was kind of interesting in how they got the aiming to work. Had that weird... Well, it wasn't weird. It had the auto-aiming style, which Turok didn't have. Turok really was ahead of its time. It was like, it used the C buttons as sort of like a bastardized joystick of sorts. And it worked, mostly. PC ports are definitely where it's at today, though. I'm definitely finding that out with Turok 3.
Oh yeah, you have much more precise control. It's just really a better way. We're not limited as we were back then. And flawed intellect, you'd be surprised, man. Some of the best ramen, soba noodles, and buns I've had have come from a Japanese Circle K. Like, no joke, restaurant quality.
That's just such a weird thing, though. It's a gas station.
Yeah, you'd never guess it, but it's... If I'm lying, I'm dying, man. The best case example I can put is, there's a channel called Strictly Dumpling, and he's gone to Japan a few times and done reviews of Lawson's and Circle K's and all that. And he'll back up what I'm saying. You can get shockingly good stuff there.
But from a gas station of all things, it's weird. It seems slightly heretical. Slightly.
Well, no, you try it and you come back here and it's like, wow, our gas station's the real heresy.
Yeah, it certainly sounds that way. Gas stations are meant to be crappy. They're meant to be for gas and nothing else.
Well, here's the thing. We kind of make up for it in our truck stops. Some truck stops we have around here are actually pretty cool. Like, there's one on the way to the range that I go to, which unfortunately I have not been in a while thanks to the pandemic, that I go in, I can get fresh boudin, which, for those not in the know, boudin is a type of Louisiana pork and rice sausage. It's heavily spiced. It's kind of... Every area has their own specific, comfort / convenience food. That's Louisiana's. I get that and, a full breakfast. Grab that, chow it down, load up mags to the range, and get a good day of training in. And for very little money, it's pretty nice.
I've never had boudin. I think you mentioned it before, though.
Well, you get boudin blanc and boudin noir. For the uninitiated, I always recommend start out with boudin blanc because it's not made with blood.
Oh, well, that's good at least. I would. It's like
A boudin noir is made with blood.
I see. That's why you're not supposed to ask what's in whatever meal it is if you're going to eat something in Louisiana. That's for sure.
Oh no, we'll be absolutely honest with you. Boudin blanc is pork, usually around the shoulder, and some of the ham hock in there. And for some recipes, they'll use, pig liver. Some won't. The one you get from the station I'm at, they don't. They just use mostly pork shoulder and some of the ham hock. It's green onion, chili peppers. It's actually a mix of about 5 different types of chili peppers in terms of spices. Garlic. You got, of course, your rice. It's all mixed up and made into a sausage. It's just a nice food to have. Now, for those of us who are used to it, there's boudin noir, which is the same except just a little bit more on the salty end, a little bit more on the savory end due to the fact it's made with blood.
So it's Corn's preferred dish then. No, don't fall.
I don't see him having a problem with it, unless he's got a really, really sensitive stomach and can't stand, heavy amounts of garlic.
Still though, blood! Fucking blood! It's got blood in it. That just sounds...
Well, that's why that's usually not made for anybody who's visiting. That's normally made in the boucherie.
Don't fall!
You normally have to request boudin blanc. Boudin noir.
God damn it.
Then you have what's called boudin balls, which is, thankfully, no, not as disgusting as it sounds. It's just boudin without the casing, done like a meatball, breaded and fried.
Okay, what the hell am I doing here? Well, thank Disney for that, although I don't know if I don't know if I trust you on that one. I don't know.
I will make Boudin in front of you and show you what's in it. It'll be Boudin Blanc, no blood.
Boudin, blood, vengeance.
And it's spelled Boudin, but it's pronounced Boudin.
Some kind of Frenchy thing I see. Probably
Pretty
communist.
No, definitely not communist. Pretty sure Bubba and Boudreaux aren't exactly on the Antifa list. Except maybe to kill, but good luck with that.
Although there was some kind of Antifa thing where they're trying to say there's like some kind of redneck revolt where they're apparently, you know, a bunch of Bubba types learning the glories of socialism. I don't think that
No.
That is not real to me.
They generally works for an oil field or works in a welder or any other trade job. They're more the union type as opposed to the, oh, we need socialism, because they realize, hey, socialism doesn't get me a paycheck.
Yeah.
And yes, the Hawaiian 7-Elevens are pretty good. I do miss getting Spam musubi in the morning.
Oh, there we go. That's what I was missing. And thank you, Akbar fan. $10 a month is not bad. Every little bit helps.
Dude, cool. Dude, you're awesome for that.
And this little audio log here is 10 years off, unfortunately. I think it's supposed to be 2050 something. It says 2060 something. Kind of a typo there, Bethesda, or id, whichever one it is. And that's why I'm glad I never got rid of the Patreon. Now wait, Akbar fan, were you the one that requested Rogue Squadron 2? I think that might have been you. I'm not sure. You get too many requests these days. And I'm glad I did Rogue Squadron 2, because that game, while not as good as the first one, was still pretty bloody good nonetheless. Even if it was really annoying.
Compared to modern games, it's great.
I'm glad I bought it before the price went up. At least I'm assuming the price went up. Everything else has.
It sort of has, but there's been some controversy with some of the Rogue Squadron games. See, they've been reprinted. And the reprints are expensive because they're sealed up like the old Kenner figures were.
Huh. I'm surprised they did.
Well, the only reason they did is because it was limited run, and they realized that, hey, wait, we can build money.
I think I actually have one of those. Well, not that, but a limited run game. Assuming that is limited run. I think I've shown this before, but I've got my... Let's pause so I don't die. I've got my... it is limited run. Got my limited run Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing to have. It's just I could never get by it because I got the original.
I know. It's one of those things where a friend of mine got me... Well, he didn't get me because I had to pay him, but got that from a con. I thought it was cool enough. Yeah, you got me. No, I had to pay him for that. But I have my original, but yeah, it was one of those things where it's just kind of neat to have a new one of that. I never could take it out of the box, or out of the packaging. It's not really a box.
Yeah, it's something cool to have.
For some reason...
That's why I'll respect it, because it just looks cool.
For some reason,
for me, it looks cool.
Pretty much. One weird thing they made, though, was a reprint of the NES Star Wars game. I'm not really sure why, because I don't think that game was particularly good in any way.
It wasn't. It was really just sort of a memorabilia thing. The last good game Limited Run did, which I actually kind of have to thank them for, because they got a lot more people to play the game, even though it's stupid expensive no matter how you play it now, is Metal Storm for the NES. Great game. Good lord, it's just too expensive.
And horribly difficult.
Oh yeah, but that's expected. It's Irem. Irem did notoriously difficult like no one else.
Because it's a one-hit kill game, and oh my good god. You better
honestly,
have.
if you're going to get that game, just to play it, get yourself. It's going to be a little bit harder now, and you're going to have to wait because, you know, China. But get yourself a repro cart from China. That's the best way to play it outside of just emulate it.
I would just play it legally and use all the.
Firearm doesn't exist anymore.
I'm just saying that for YouTube. Play it legally. That's sort of a nudge, nudge, hint, hint thing. Anything that's played legally is nudge, nudge, hint, hint. But with
yeah,
that,
I understand. But even then, there's YouTube can't even do anything in that because in this case, because who's gonna sue? No, seriously, who? I would love to see, and I will pay for legal defense.
Hey, don't say that. I'm not affiliated with Rain Enterprises.
No, he's not. I'm saying bring the lawsuit to me, directly to me. I will pay for this session in court. John is not related to this. This is a Rainic thing, not a John thing.
Chex Quest 2020 is getting a physical release. Damn.
Awesome. Now, I've only with Sergeant Mark IV to actually finish up freaking brutal Chex Quest and actually fix it.
You can kind of play it with Brutal Doom. But let's hope.
Yeah, but in earlier editions, you could play it with the original weapons with all the brutal effects, which is just hilarious.
Huh.
I want that back.
Nice. Yeah, don't tempt fate by trying to resurrect the corpse of Irem. You never know.
The same, you kind of can because the only people who own it, own the IP, can't develop it. The original developers can't get a dime from it. And they can only really sell those games in a very, very limited fashion. They don't have the money to challenge me. Because I will sell my house because they will make me rich for that. Go ahead.
Make my
I
day.
got nothing to lose.
Getting pretty ballsy.
Dude, right now I've got a busted car, which I could sell for some money, but that's not enough to get another car.
Run! Run!
I've got more than enough knowledge, you know, doing some intern work as paralegal. Yeah, go ahead. Challenge me.
See, now I kind of feel bad about Irem. They've been through so much. How could you?
Well, it's not IRM anymore. The original staff is retired. It's now the same people who own, it's D3 Communications, same people who own Data East.
Oh.
Data East, like I say, their staff is retired. You want to know what happened to IRM?
Aged out?
It became Nazca Corporation.
Oh, they did! I thought they were two different companies.
No, the thing about IRM is interesting because some of the original staff left off, founded Capcom. The rest of the staff left off, founded SNK. And those that stuck around, founded Nazca.
Well, that even further explains why, that game, whose name I don't remember now. You know, that one.
It's either going to be In the Hunt or Gun Force 2, specifically.
Yeah, Gun Force 2 and In the Hunt. No wonder that looks so much like Metal Slug.
Same artist.
Yeah, In the Hunt is ridiculous in terms of its art style. I mean, that thing just looks... that is where, you know, your hand-drawn animation, this is where I'm going to sound like a snob, but that's the hand-drawn animation. It is vastly superior to CG. It just is!
It actually is, because each frame is basically hand-drawn, then hand-pixelated. So it's drawn twice.
See, that's the one thing. There was that time period when 3D just did not look anywhere near as good as 2D. Actually, I will submit that the earlier Street Fighters look better than the modern ones. Or at least Street Fighter 4. Yeah, Street Fighter 4 was kind of crap.
Street Fighter 4 and 5 just don't look good because they had to outsource everything. They don't have the staff. Capcom cannot make a fighting game in-house anymore.
That's just sad. It's like, what happened to Capcom anyway? I mean, like, they were doing pretty good. I mean...
The old staff retired. They were getting up in the years. Hell, Bingus, they're one of their big artists who switched over to SNK for a while. He's got to be pushing like 65 now.
Damn. Of course, I could say something totally raycast, like, oh, he's Japanese, he's gonna live to be like 100 anyway.
Here's hoping, because he's actually a really good artist.
Like, keep working on Street Fighter until you die, and then we'll, like, put you in a robot body. Eternal. Street Fighter Eternal, there we go.
Train people. Train people like a sensei, because that's essentially what you are. You created art here. You may not be a martial artist, but you're an artist. You are a sensei.
That can work too.
That's where the real problem really kind of hit with Capcom is a lot of the staff base was like, dude, I've been doing this for over 20 years. It's time for me to retire. And unfortunately, they didn't train enough people.
Well, they could always just put them in a robot body. That could work. That needs to be like in a Cyberpunk book or something, or RPG, where they literally have the same game developers developing games for over 50 years. And they're in robot bodies and they can't leave.
Don't say that too long, because I'm pretty sure Mike Pondsmith would love that.
It's like that would be the Ooh.
The designer of Cyberpunk puts himself into a cybernetic body to make more Cyberpunk.
But he gets kidnapped by Gearbox Software, and you have to rescue him.
I'm sorry, no, it's Pondsmith we're talking about here. Randy would not survive 5 seconds in a room with Mike Pondsmith. And Mike Pondsmith is almost 20 years Randy's senior.
Let's see, he uses, Randy Pitchford uses the desiccated corpse of Duke Nukem to capture him. There we go. Zombie Nukem!
Well, it ain't gonna be voiced by John St. John.
No, they'll get the guy who voiced, Handsome Jack. Or is it Handsome Tom? I can't remember.
And second Mario, it's Handsome Jack. Capcom actually outsourced a couple of the Resident Evils. Like, 6 was in-house, 7 was outsourced. 7 was actually surprisingly good for being outsourced. Devil May Cry series has been outsourced quite a bit.
So it is Handsome Jack.
And Sugar Ray Ray, no, meta is essentially fictive term. Essentially metaphysical, in this case, breaking the fourth wall.
We don't have a wall. But what happens when it rains?
I'm too broke for one, man. All I got's a roof. I'm lucky to have that.
Ooh, or we could do the SJW thing. It's like, walls just divide us.
Well, as mentioned 4chan, they do divide us quite a bit. Effectively.
What's wrong
and
with
hilariously.
Stop dancing around, you bastard! I will smack you with my blood fist. Corn cares not where the blood flows, just so long as it flows. What if he made like a synthetic blood factory? Then would he be happy?
Actually, you joke about that. That's actually been a military project for the past 10 years. We've actually figured out a way to make a synthetic blood which hyperoxygenates. It actually works really well. Acts better than real blood. Problem is, it leaves a hell of a hangover.
Well, then Korn would be happy, I would hope. He cares not where the blood flows, so there you go. Just make a giant blood waterfall. A blood fall.
Well, it'd be white. The artificial blood is white.
Oh. Well, that's
It
racist.
wouldn't have quite the same effect.
Just add some food coloring, it'll be fine. You won't know the difference.
So you get jaundice, and you're like, why is my skin red?
Because he really worships corn. And... let's see, what the hell was that? And yeah, this is on the Discord stream chat. Medal of Honor Airborne. That Medal of Honor Airborne review. I really like that one, actually. Medal of Honor Airborne is a really good game. However, get it for $1 because it's not worth that much money because it's a very short game. It is basically a glorified demo in some respects. It's like, what, 4 levels in that game?
Yeah, 4 or 5, not many at all.
Yeah, and I guarantee you that was... they charged like full price for that, too.
Oh yeah, they charge the full $60 for that.
That is not worth $60. That is worth at most $30. At most. it's one of those things where that's EA for you. But it's still a really fun game, though, especially that last level. I mean, parachuting on, you know, a flak tower. Holy shit. Why have we not seen this in more games? It's a fucking flak tower. Now, there was a review of that game by, I don't know if that Zero Punctuation guy still does videos, but he was popular at one time. And, it's like, oh, it's
how he's doing financially, because he made his investment, which was sound at the time, in buying a couple bars, but given, you know, commie pox, you can't exactly run a bar.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Bars and places like that are probably really hurting right now.
Must be cleansed.
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order and Metro Exodus. I've not played Metro Exodus, but I have played some of Jedi Fallen Order. And it is pretty damn good. Now, people don't like RE3, the remake, at all? I don't know why. I mean, wasn't RE2 good?
There's little things that kind of are the fly in the ointment of RE3. That being said, it's not as bad as people say. As for Metro, I like the Metro series, although I'm really looking forward to a new Stalker. I like Artyom, I love the novels, but it's a good game series when what I want is an immersive sim.
Absolutely no need to get one of these things, but why not? Yeah, I just never could get into Metro. I mean, I reviewed the first game and read the first book, and thought it was okay, but it did not, like, super impress me. I still prefer Fallout when it comes to something like that. Besides, Metro is really depressing.
It is, but that being said, you know, Roadside Picnic, what Stalker is based off of, is exceptionally depressing. Like,
it's from Mother Russia. Why would it not be depressing?
oh no, you joke, but a lot of the stuff from Motherland has that gray, unknown, uncertain atmosphere to it for a reason. It's because that's what you see when you open up the window. You see cloudy skies, not quite cold enough to put on a jacket, not quite warm enough to put on your summer clothes. And it's just, are you gonna rain or are you gonna not? Make up your damn mind.
It's like Houston on any given day, except for the dull grayness of the sky. One minute it can be bright blue, next minute it can be, yeah. Like today. With humidity so horrible that that if you have a glass of water, it's gonna drip on you no matter what. And nice, Akbar fan. Nice. Especially since, Houston didn't get hit too hard by the, Kung Fury. Thankfully. I think only like 40 people died, or maybe it was 400. Something like that.
Well, we also got to worry about the fact that a lot of us could be asymptomatic carriers. We got to be really, really careful, especially around our parents and our grandparents. Please, please, please take precautions. Stay as clean as possible. Avoid crowds. And wear a mask. I'm asking you, please, because while it may not affect you, as someone who's lost their parents, it sucks. I don't wish that on anybody.
And see, what's funny is, like, I was always paranoid about getting sick, so I don't have to do anything. I just get to live, as I normally do. And as for leaving the house, social isolation, thy name is me. And I'm one of those lucky people that I actually can work from home, so.
And yeah, Komoda, some in their 20s did. I mean, we had a very healthy U.S. Navy officer serving aboard aircraft carrier die from it. You've got to be really super careful.
Smack it. Meanwhile, you're talking about this serious stuff, and I'm like, smack him! It's like,
oh yeah, well, I'm glad you are, because somebody's got to. Somebody has to have some levity here. You can't be serious all the damn time.
Like
that's my big thing about life is be careful, but enjoy your life. Don't this is going to change society for quite a few years. I mean, you're not going to be able to shake hands with anybody for quite a while because that's a risk. But enjoy what you can.
And when in
Get out
doubt,
there, play good games, listen to kick-ass music, read awesome novels, get some painting in if you're like me and do miniature wargaming. There's a lot of good to be had from this, and of such, spend some time. Of course, be careful, but spend some time with your family. Seriously.
I was going to suggest
You only
they
get
use,
one family.
Of course, I was going to suggest they use a lot of VR porn, but I guess your thing is good too.
Oh, dude, if that's what you want to do, it's harmless. Go for it. There's zero harm to that. It's very safe. Go, absolutely. Just don't get caught.
Yeah, that would be embarrassing. See, what you have to do is you have to have the computer not facing the door, then no one can see what you're doing. Brilliant.
Well, that, and if at all possible, they make these nice little, door handle blocks, which, will secure from the door handle to the floor, which would keep the door from opening. Those help out a lot.
And since it's VR, no one can see anything, because, well, they can see you, and that would be kind of embarrassing. It'd pull a dark side Phil, that's for sure.
And that's exactly why I'm saying turn your webcams off for that, and, block your door, get yourself a good door stop, you'll be fine.
I find it interesting how the Architrons in this are oddly blue, unrelated from coronavirus and VR porn.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to give them blue blood. It's really kind of a cacodemon thing, so they may or may not be related.
Let's see. This is... Oh, getting that set up, Akbar fan, is so annoying it's not even funny. We'll have to schedule that for another time. Because believe me, trying to get everybody linked in, just getting Rain and I linked in was difficult. It's of course I'm using 90 speech for that. We were linked in, man! In the Matrix! Oh, there's one guy left alive stuck in a wall somewhere, I bet. That's why I haven't been able to transition to another section.
And Juju Music, no. Hydrochloronique is not a 100%.
There he is.
Hydrochloronique can kill you if you're given the wrong dosage. It is a treatment. It is, surprisingly useful, but it is not a vaccine, nor it is a 100% guarantee. Hydrochloronique can easily kill you. So that's no excuse to not take this seriously. You never want to need the treatment. An ounce of prevention beats 30 pounds of treatment.
Yeah, there is a lot of misinformation on that whole thing, which I'm not surprised. Because, well, money.
Yeah, like I said, chloronique actually does work, but you really, really got to be.
And hello, Pizza Man. And Atomic Samota? Whatever that says. That is not actually true, because if it was, damn. I'm just going to say...
Yes and no. Here's the thing. Overuse, overstimulation is a thing. But if, you're just occasionally, no, it does not work that way.
Well, actually, I will say this. If you mean in general, that might make it less enjoyable, that's not true. Because if it was, damn. But I would recommend...
If that was true, then Fleshlight would never sell their stamina training unit. I'm actually, as funny as it sounds, and it does sound freaking hilarious, it's actually dead serious. It's designed to make a guy last longer when they're with a woman.
See, back in my day, we didn't have to have a special fancy device. We just had our... never mind. But that in mind, if you are going to enjoy the Happy Joy Fun Time, do not engage in a lot of personal Happy Joy Fun Time beforehand, because that will cause a few minor issues here and there. Nudge, nudge, hint, hint.
Yeah. Stay hydrated, stay well fed, stay, keep your nutrition up. And don't, with all things, don't overdo it. There is a limit. Learn your limit. Learn not to go over that limit.
Exactly. And no, you don't go blind, because if you did, I would have been blinder than I already am.
Well, a lot of people would be, man. There would be people. Blindfolds would be the newest fashion, and those that could see would be the ostracized.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I did actually see that. There's a whole comment thread in one of my update vlogs saying that I was raycast for talking about the Kung Fury. And I'm not really sure
Comic
how...
Fox, no. Came from China. It ate our brains.
That's when we had a brain to begin with.
I'm sorry, that's like calling Zika racist. It's not. Zika is named after the era it came from. COVID-19. Yeah. Kinda named for the area.
Exactly.
Most viruses are. I mean, people forget Ebola is a place.
I think no one really knows that is a place. And you know how I know that? Because I didn't know that was a place. I thought it was the name of somebody. Why am I always the last to hear about these things?
Well, truth be told, you're not reading medical journals. Very few people are.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I'm not surprised that people are saying that it's raycast instead. I'm not surprised they said I was raycast for some
No,
reason.
that's stupidity and inanity at the absolute worst, because Legionnaire's disease, Zika, all of these are named after places where they originated from. To say, oh, it's raycast, dude, that's just propaganda. That is propaganda made by the petty to push an agenda. That's all it is. Anybody who says X is raycast when it's, a disease named after its place of origin or something similar is basically trying to say, I don't like you, I don't have an argument against you, so I'm just going to call you raycast.
Mm-hmm. And I will fix the face cam in just a moment. I had to wait for that cutscene, which is a pretty epic one nonetheless. Okay, let's fix that. There's a misconfigured Ethernet port, I think. It's causing some random problems when things update. That's a guess. I don't know if it is or not. But yeah, that whole racism thing now, it's like, oh god, just please. You're just making
As I said, we're in survival mode right now, man. For the whole whiny, pet shop, boutique politics BS, we're past that point, man.
Pretty much.
Facts matter more than one's fee-fees. I'm sorry, but this is for the betterment of humankind as a whole, regardless of your race, your gender, anything.
Or if you're a tech helicopter.
I sexually identify as a chainsaw.
Or chainsaw. Running low of fuel and need chainsaw of love. I know, that sounds weird. But that's people for you. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Well, Sugar Ray, it does and it doesn't. Here's the thing. COVID-19, or rather, Commie-Pox, because I've got to insert some humor here. Because this is serious and it needs some humor, otherwise things become a downer. There is such a thing as an asymptomatic carrier. You could have it, you could be spreading it, and you not know it because you're asymptomatic. You don't suffer from it.
And here's a video game reference. The characters in L4D2.
Yes, they are carriers. They don't suffer from it. They're immune to it. But yet, everyone they're around, if they're not immune, they catch it. Which really is kind of sad, because there's a lot of good people are dying. And
yeah. But that was Valve at their best, in some respects.
yeah, I will say that.
That's why people still play that, how many years later?
It's a good game.
But I'm not gonna lie, when they were talking about asymptomatic carriers, my first thought was Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah, it's because that's the quickest form of pop culture media we have to it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I used to be a big Stephen King fan before he fried his brain, but not too many people are going to be talking about The Stand in this era.
So yeah, be careful with the virus because you could become a zombie. Wait, no, that's not exactly accurate.
Not a zombie in the traditional sense, although you'll definitely feel like death warmed over.
I'm hoping that by this time next year, this whole thing will have been blown over, and it'll just be, oh yeah, that was that thing in 2020, or people will forget about it.
I hope it ends as soon as possible, but that being said, this is the kind of thing that changes societies. We gotta... None of this is gonna come easy.
Because, like, well, here's an example of something that was the flavor of the month. There was that, what was that? Even I can't remember. Those kids that... There was a guy banging a drum, and, like, they said the kids, like, attacked him or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That... Well, here's the thing. CNN's being sued for that.
Oh, good. Somebody needs to do that. Well, like, that was
the Covington kids are suing CNN for that, and they're going to win. That's because they have all the evidence they need.
And see, like, with that was a flavor of the month, now no one cares. Well, I get the feeling CNN does, seeing as how they're being sued, but you get the idea.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, is that this is waking people up to the idea that, hey, you know, the offended Olympics is over. One's feelings don't matter when good people are suffering and when the entire worldwide economy is on pseudo lockdown. The time for being politically correct is out the window.
And here's hoping
those type of politics can only exist when things are good.
Wait, the original Leon's voice actor died? Holy crap!
Yeah, he died young.
My God, people falling all over the place. The stream should be pausing. I'm bright green on here, so it should be working just fine. Oh, dearie me. 2020 is going to be an interesting year.
Brainy, if we actually got actual, you know, hardcore authoritarians as opposed to more usual corrupt politicians, they wouldn't have nothing to complain about because of, you know, boy who cried wolf. They'd have nothing to complain about because they'd be the one hanging from nooses. People don't know what most people in the West don't know what authoritarianism looks like. We know corrupt, you know, politicians and their pseudo-authoritarian means, but when an authoritarian wins, everyone loses. I've got a lot of friends who survived communist Russia, who survived, you know, socialist Hungary, Romania, Czechoslovakia, and they lived through that. They know exactly what it's like to stand in a bread line, to go to a grocery store where there's barely anything you can buy and you barely have anything to buy it with.
Which is kind of what's happening now in some respects, except for because of the economy being shut down.
Pretty much. The only difference is this is our exception, while in an authoritarian socialist state, that's the norm.
And now for something completely different. VR porn. No, we're not going to show that.
No. It's none of this channel. Maybe if there was like a safe harbor streaming program, we could probably do an MST3K, make fun of really bad porn.
That could work. Figure it out. Careful extraction, huh? I don't think Doomslayer cares. I gotta say,
Just yank him out of there.
Hayden looks a bit smaller than he should. He's supposed to be 3 meters tall.
He lost some weight when losing most of his body.
I guess. So here's the Marauder. Everybody hates him. I don't know why. He's not that hard. He's a cool design, too. Just chucks him in there.
You were never one of us. You were nothing but a
So basically he's talking about Call of Duty. Because, yeah. Okay, now, all you gotta do with this guy is literally... Obviously he's going to attack you, which I think people seem to be thought was weird. You gotta use the dash move. If you don't use the dash move, you're gonna be screwed. That's about it. I mean, seriously. I'm barely even trying. It's like, oh, he uses the shield. Well, that's why you don't attack him till he does the green.
Yeah, it's pattern recognition. These people have hell with 16-bit bosses. Like, you can only imagine these people playing Ninja Gaiden.
Oh, god, that would just be painful. And see, look at this, look at this. Like, come on. This is not hard. This is not rocket science here. Oh, yeah, that dog. People are complaining about the dog for some reason. And the game even helps you by giving you zombies to cut up if you need to. I mean, come on, how easy could this be? It's a minor challenge. It's the one time that
people complain about anything and everything.
I do actually pay a little bit of attention, but still. God damn it.
An Akbar fan? No, he doesn't have the radio fry voice. Which I'm still trying to figure out how to make a filter that does that. Granny Gaming, I actually have written in the past. I have written. You'd never believe that. I have written D&D campaigns and used to professionally roll GM and DM for the RPGA. This is quite a while back, right before Wizards of the Coast really went full off the rails and nuttier than a fruitcake.
I may actually die. I'm gonna blame the virus. But still, though, seriously, I will admit I'm not even really trying that hard. But is this really that difficult? I'll admit, I'm gonna blame the stream, but I'm still streaming, though. Fanfic writing, along with college. Fanfic writing is a lot of fun.
It can be, but that being said, take some time and create your own universe, because I think you'll find it's pretty invigorating to do so.
And you can actually sell it.
Yeah, there was always that. Your universe doesn't have to be like super original, or original character donut steel. But take some time to build it for yourself. Make some backstory. Make a realm. Make some hard rules that everything has to follow. And you'll find it's actually really enjoyable to do so.
Actually, wait a minute. Don't I have to be... No, I want to show how this works. As for me, I'm trying to figure out a way to fix both Star Wars and Trek and do my own kind of thing with that. Because the
Jedi example of creating your own rules is, if not for Dune, as mentioned before, we not have 40K, we not have Star Wars, we not have a lot of sci-fi.
Actually, hitting with a rocket is a little bit more difficult.
Aim for the feet. Don't even bother trying to go for body yet. Aim for the feet.
Yeah, get with the splash. Oh, come on, I need to get that guy. Aha! There we go. And see. Not hard at all. I mean, seriously. It took 2 tries. And I'm going to blame some of that for being tired. How hard was that? I mean, yeah, if I was playing on Ultra Violence or any of the harder difficulties, it would be more difficult. But come on, really? Imagine, like Ninja Gaiden or Truxton or something like that. It's like they'd have a coronary, wherever a coronary is.
That or an embolism.
So, yeah, let's see here. Animal Crossing. What's the deal with that anyway? Like, why do people go nuts
It's
over
a
that?
fun little chill out game. It's essentially it's relaxation in the game. There's no stress. It's just, hey, here's a vacation in a box.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's just like why that and Doom, and I shall be right back.
Why? Because they were coming out at the same time, and
No.
well, two good games. That's it.
That makes me wonder. Like, what if FIFA 2020 came out? Would we have FIFA 2020 and Doom memes? I shall
Nope.
return. Be entertaining.
There'd be no crossover between FIFA and Doom. Mainly because the FIFA fans these days are more obsessed with spending money for star cards. And yes, Doom Guy plus Isabelle is cute and funny. And yes, because they were so different, it worked so well. That and the idea of Isabelle being taught how to use a super shotgun is both hilarious and adorable. And yeah, for the Marauder, I'm going to be side on John's side here. If you're playing on Ultraviolence or Nightmare for your first time, you have not learned your lessons from the original id. And yeah, it's spelled ReignIck. But yeah, back on point. If you're playing on Nightmare or Ultraviolence, the original id games warned you that Nightmare mode was that. This is completely unbalanced, and you're playing this of your own volition. So they got no right to complain when they go into this game playing it on Nightmare and they find something hard. Because that's the point. And Second Mario, yeah, this is not 2016 2, the Big Igloo Aloha. But that being said, it's not a bad game. Now, my main reason for knocking it what little I can is the same reason as 2016. They lean a little too hard on the rip and tear. It's just Doom.
And
I'm expecting the guns to do the talking. Though I do like both games. They're perfectly serviceable. They're great.
So what did I miss?
The explanation of why, if you're playing this game on Nightmare, and complain about anything, you have not learned from previous id games.
It is not even remotely fair.
Exactly. They warn you that.
I actually did a short Let's Play series where I tried to play through Doom 1, or back when it was Doom 1, on Nightmare, and I got like part way through before I gave up.
Yeah, it's genuinely hard on that difficulty. It is no joke.
Well, with all the respawning enemies and things of that nature.
Oh yeah, all id games on Nightmare live up to that game. It's genuinely difficult. This is not, to steal a line from Penn and Teller Smoke and Mirrors. This is the impossible level, boys. Impossible doesn't mean very hard. Winning a Nobel Prize is very hard. Impossible is trying to eat the sun.
Unless you're Satan, you're probably out of luck. Or however the fuck you pronounce it. Alright, let me check the old chat there. Headphones. Brutal Doom. Yeah, I would say that 2016 is a bit limp compared to that.
No, both are fine games. Don't get me wrong. I'll gladly marathon back-to-back both games, but that being said, I'm waiting for the mod kit for this to come out so I can make it closer to the original Dooms. Or Doom 64, in terms where your guns are doing the talking.
And that is something I'm interested to see. Because that will actually keep this thing alive. But Doom 2016 hasn't died.
No,
Not yet, at least.
neither game will die because they're both.
Oh,
A
but
good game survives by its merits.
And these weren't made to be
You can't
disposable
kill a
games.
good game. Yeah. A complete good game, like I say, will survive far, far beyond. A complete good game with mods is essentially immortal.
The old Immortan Joe. Although with that reference made, I did not find Mad Max Fury Road to be as amazing as people said it was.
No, it's a popcorn flick. It's good, but it just couldn't get beyond Thunderdome. Yes, feel free to throw rotten produce at me now.
Well, we just can't get beyond it these days, I guess. Yes, I made that on purpose, for once. But yeah, I mean, it felt like it was very much a artistic film in that regard, and it's just like, meh. The guy with the...
Well, it's not like Jodorowsky directed it. It's not like that level of strange art house. Oh my god, what did I just watch?
I don't know, it comes kind of close, what with the guy with the guitar. It's like, really? They're gonna... In the apocalypse...
Okay. You haven't seen El Topo.
No, I have not. Nor have I heard of such a thing.
El Topo is Jodorowsky in his element of just being weird.
So one of those random events things. Something that makes
it's none of it's random events. It's just freaking weird. It's basically Gunslinger Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. It just sounds insane.
It's Jodorowsky. If we got his interpretation of Dune, we would have gotten a gloriously insane, mind-bending movie. Well, I say movie. It probably would have been a series of movies because he had planned on 14 hours of edited footage.
Really? 14 hours? One day I need to play Titanfall. One day.
The original was good, but it died a premature death thanks to EA. 2's campaign, thankfully, is actually pretty good, but the player list on it, sadly, is low, and it doesn't need to be that way, because it's actually not a bad game.
And yeah, I just exited out of Doom, but I'm not actually ending the stream. Because I don't want to play too much more of Doom, but I'm just kind of messing around in it. And I wanted to stream this just because it's a good game. Truxton. Actually, you know what? I will go ahead and do this from the beginning. But then I might overwrite my save. Fuck it. It's Truxton time! Why Truxton? Because. Shoot 'em up.
Pixels do have a certain timelessness to them. But that being said, art design matters more than poly count. You can make a 3D shooter not chase the not chase photorealism and still be timeless.
Hell, this game is from 1989, the year I was born, and it still looks pretty good, actually. The ships are pretty well designed. I don't know how you could really... God damn it! I should have saved. And yes, I'm going to save scum this entire game. That's the only way I can play retro games.
Well, to be fair, you're playing one of the hardest shooters of its era.
Save.
I mean, the Japanese name literally is Tatsujin, which means expert.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, well, I don't feel so bad then. See, if you get this electric beam weapon, it's not so bad, but holy shit, does this game get tough. Now, did you ever play Truxton? Well, I guess you must have, if you know the Japanese name.
Yeah, I've played it quite extensively, and it has
God damn
kicked
it.
my rear since 1989. It is tough.
This is why you just constantly hit F2. Just constantly
You
don't...
didn't have that back in the day. You either insert another coin or, play till your continues run out on the Genesis or Mega Drive. Or Mega Drive or the PC Engine. Sadly, it never got a US release on the PC Engine, or rather TurboGrafx 16.
I will have to look at the PC Engine version because I did not know that that was a thing.
Best way to put it is the music isn't quite as good as the FM synth on the Genesis. It's still pretty good. The colors are a lot better, but they're about equal for what you give up.
And Psychic Mario, that, so I can move my head, is my work computer because I get to work from home. And you said the colors weren't as good in the PC Engine version?
No, the colors are better because it had, remember, you're limited to 256 colors on the Mega Drive with an on-screen palette of 56, not counting hold and modify. With the PC Engine, you have 256 on-screen colors from a palette of about 16,000.
I'm going to kill this guy and then I want to see what that looks like because I'm curious. Because I've only ever played this version of Truxton. God damn it. There is
the colors are closer to the arcade in the PC Engine version, although a lot of the Genesis is really close to the arcade itself. So you're not going to see a massive difference.
Alright. See, like, imagine in '89, this would have looked actually, it still looks pretty good today. But in '89, this would have been like godlike in terms of graphics because there's a lot of. Okay, we're gonna take a look at the PC Engine now because I just keep dying. I'm blaming the chat. When in doubt, blame chat.
Between this and Raiden, '89 was a good year for shooters.
It starts with a T.
Good year for movies too, because remember we had Batman.
That is true, and it was the holiest year of the century. Because you got yours truly. Oh, is this going to be one of those? Yeah, of course it's not going to show up. Which means I get to go all the way over here. I don't know why RetroArch is like that. Or like...
Well, they're working on limited scans. I'm still using Magic Engine to... When I'm playing PC Engine on the PC, as opposed to actually playing my PC Engine Duo.
Let's see, is that other... Yeah, there's TurboGrafx. RetroArch is just so much more easy, though.
It is, although if somebody would come up with an organized, front end that could compete with RetroArch, then yeah, I would be more open to that. Don't get me wrong, RetroArch is nice, but I've broken it so many times.
Yeah. Also, there's apparently a game for the PC Engine called Toilet Kids. I don't think I want to...
It's a shooter. A scatological shooter.
I see. Why does such a thing exist? I don't want to know.
Humor. It's just designed for humor. It's not designed for nastiness or anything like that. Just literally toilet humor.
No. And I'm not sure if I really like this version all that much. I mean, it's not bad. I kind of like the color palette on the Genesis version a little more.
Well, yeah, this is close to the arcade and color palette, although the Genesis version has its own charm. They actually did a really good job on it.
And the sound, yeah, the sound could be a little better. Oh, damn it. I can see why they call this expert. I would have been like out of lives already without being able to save every 5 seconds. Robotron 2084, I have played that. Although not much.
Yeah. Although that being said, Robotron 64, if you want a more updated take on Robotron 2084, it's surprisingly good. That and Robotron X on PS1. You can find that game for dirt cheap, and it's actually really good. Pick it up.
Ooh, I want to show off Fire Shark. I reviewed this many years ago. But this is also one of my favorite shoot-em-ups.
Total Plan, back when they were making shooters, they did good stuff.
It's like, it's such a weird game in some respects. Just like, and I immediately get shot down. You're a World War I biplane, and yet you've got like a modern-day jet. Well, not a jet, but a modern-day like bomber up there, and like, then you got more biplanes. And the music is fucking good. I actually listened to this today when I went on my bike ride.
Oh yeah, Total Plan generally did really good symphonic suites in terms of working with FM synth.
And like all shoot 'em ups, they are very it's a very difficult game, but it's also difficult because you gotta avoid the power-ups on screen once you get the red one. The red one is by far.
You might want to try blazing lasers for the PC Engine
Okay, no.
TurboGrafx 16 because all the compile-based shooters, generally the NEC and compile-based shooters, have a good learning curve to them. They're still difficult, make no mistake, but they're not just okay. Time to kill you now.
Let's see. Before we call it a day on the stream, I'll take a look at blazing lasers. We went from Doom Eternal to this. Why? Because this is real hard. This is real difficulty.
Oh yeah, make no mistake.
The Bronner is very easy in comparison.
Real difficulty is trying to 1cc Ninja Gaiden 1, or God help you, the US version of Ninja Gaiden 3.
It's like now we are basically a god, but one hit will completely destroy everything.
Oh, wait till you get that fire beam fully powered up. Things are just absurdly beautiful.
Grab. Aha. This is another example.
Old shooters. They were power trips up until you took that hit, and I was like, damn it, I want more.
Yeah, because like once you take that hit, you are back to like the weakest weapon in the entire game, and you're really slow because this is one of those games where you gotta power up your speed. Don't grab the blue thing. This game still looks pretty good, despite being who knows how old at this point.
Well, the original arcade was about 89. Like I said, 89 was a good year for shooters.
So
actually, it was an excellent year because you had Hudson/NEC doing their caravan runs.
Rondo of Blood?
Rondo of Blood is awesome. Although, that being said, I don't know if he's got the CD image for Rondo.
No, I don't. I don't, because I didn't download any of those. Actually, wait, no, maybe I might. I don't know, I'll take a look.
The fact that there is a fan translation, although the intro is still in German. Which is hilarious, saying it's a Japanese game.
So, yeah, the Japanese do always go above and beyond when it comes to stuff like that, though. Actually, wait, if I knew my letters, I would know that R is much closer to Z than it is A.
Well, it's going to be Akuma Joe Dracula, Rondo of Blood.
Really?
You got it. Well, it's Castlevania.
Okay, let's see here. Nope, I don't think I have it.
But you'll also see it'll also be as Gunhead.
Gunhead? That is Dragon's Curse, but that's probably not it. Galaga, Gunboat. Oh, there's Gunheads. No, wait, what?
Blazing Lasers USA or Gunhead, yeah.
Oh,
they're the same game.
I was confused. I thought, like, wait, that's an alternate name for Rondo of Blood, Gunhead, really?
No. Rondo of Blood is Akumajo Dracula, which is Castlevania.
2 minutes, 5 minutes, what?
Oh, it's a caravan mode.
A what?
Caravan mode was a competition done where you had 2 minutes or 5 minutes to rack up the highest score. Yeah. Don't play that version because that's only the caravan version. Go ahead and play Blazing Lasers.
No.
Back then, Hudson did what was called caravans, which was they would load up a bunch of vans, literally caravans, and host an event, usually at a mall, where they would set up, about 50 TVs, and 50 consoles, and whoever get the highest score for the day won a console in the game.
That's pretty cool.
They would make specific shooters for those caravans. They do it multiple times a year, and one of the most popular ones, one of the most well-known ones, is the NES game Rekka.
Yeah, I know you heard that.
It was never released here in the U.S. It was technically it wasn't released in Japan. You had to win your copy by being in the caravan.
And I get the feeling that copy is now worth ridiculous.
A lot of money.
Yeah. Well, now that you mentioned it, there was something similar. Like there was that Blockbuster thing that.
Yeah, the Blockbuster Video Game Championships of the '90s. I was in that.
So do you have the super rare Donkey Kong Country card?
Nope, because unfortunately, while I did score well enough in my regional, in the state, I lost.
Oh, damn.
Clay Fighter. I was never good at Clay Fighter. I was good at,
That was
Extra,
a,
Donkey Kong Country, and NBA Jam. I did perfectly fine in that, but Clay Fighter is where I lost it.
that was a championship game? Fucking Clay Fighter?
It was a multi-cart where you had, a certain amount of time per each game where you had to either beat your opponent or rack up the highest score.
And Blazing Laser is actually pretty good. I don't think I like it as much as Truxton, though.
Oh, trust me. This is just the first level. The first level is actually pretty long because this is an intro. This is to get you used to it. This is before things speed up.
Oh dear. I guess that's why there's all these power-ups and everything. It lulls into a false sense of security and then just rapes you.
Oh, no, it doesn't do that. It's a natural progression. Now, it does get hard by the time you're on level 4. Oh yeah, things are getting spicy. But it's not a game that's out to crush you.
Except I died almost immediately.
Well, that's okay. It's your first time in it. You're gonna die early. Everyone does.
That's why I'm glad we've got the save states. If only I could hit F2 for real life.
Yeah, I know, right?
And as for Doom Eternal, yeah, I just finished playing like 3 hours worth of it. Now I'm taking a break and playing some shoot 'em ups. Doom Eternal is excellent. The Marauder is not hard. Like, at all. Like, not even close. Oh god. This is the first... Actually, this first boss is pretty easy. Uh-oh.
Well, this is a mid-boss, not a boss.
Like, that was nothing.
It was. That was a mid-boss.
Yeah, I can see why the PC Engine got pretty popular. I mean, these are some pretty nice graphics. Although, when did the PC Engine come out? Did it come out before the Genesis or at the same time?
It came out before the Genesis. It came out in the U.S. in 1989. It came out in Japan in about 1986.
I thought the Genesis came out in 1987, though.
No, the Genesis came out in the U.S. in 1989.
Okay, it must have. Then did it come out in Japan in '87? Then I can remember '87 being the year for that.
Yeah, it came shortly after the PC Engine, but the Genesis didn't do that well in Japan because the PC Engine was basically what kind of beat it.
I can see that. I still prefer the Genesis, though.
Yeah, it's good as you're more used to it.
I came
Most
close.
Americans kind of prefer the Genesis simply because they're more used to it. I mean, you'll have oddballs like me who ended up getting both by busting my butt and mowing a lot of lawns.
It's gotta be a lot of lawns. To get 2 consoles back in the early '90s, holy shit! I came very close to buying a TurboGrafx 16. Ultimately,
Honestly, right now, I would say hold off and wait for the TurboGrafx 16 Mini because as soon as they hack that, it's actually pretty solid.
When I went to go get the, when I was contemplating getting the TurboGrafx 16, I was ultimately convinced to get the Dreamcast, and I am not regretting that.
That was a better choice. That was a better choice. I might be a TurboGrafx 16 / PC Engine fan, but Dreamcast is superior. Let's be real here.
And that's what the people at that game store said. Sadly, that game store no longer exists. And see you, Sugar Ray Ray.
Take care, Sugar Ray.
Jeff C. Oh, it's about the pandemic. Something depressing. I was hoping it was something about retro gaming. Now, if you want a good retro gaming channel, there's a British... There's a lot of British guys these days, isn't there? A guy named Daniel Ibertson? Something like that.
DJ Slope, Daniel Ibbotson.
That guy. There's a lot of good history of games, like even obscure things as well. I quite like the one on the on GoldenEye. As much as I want to like Metroid, I never can, but I liked his history of Metroid as well. God damn it! Okay, you're right. It does get a little bit harder. And this is just level 1. This is still not that bad, though. Especially compared to a lot of those Genesis shooters.
Oh yeah, the TurboGrafx 16 has a lot of good shooters on it. For a while there, it was known as the Shooter Kings because that was its most prevalent genre.
And the webcam went out again. I'm going to blame Windows because why not? There we go.
Oh no, that's actually a legitimate reason because it shut off the webcam earlier.
That new update must be fucking with things. Okay, so blazing lasers, not bad. But there's one game I want to do before I call it a stream because I'm like starting to get legitimately fatigued. Let's see if this is going to show up here. Yep, it does. Arrow Flash. This is by far my single favorite video game soundtrack of the 16-bit era. I like it even more than Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong is a close second, though. And the game is also pretty damn good, too. I'd love to have gotten
my favorite. The soundtrack would have to go to Genesis Gauntlet 4.
And I don't think I've ever played that.
Go look up the soundtrack. It is legitimately good. It was M2's first game.
This does not have a turbo button. Yeah, actually.
That's one of the things about the US PC Engine TurboGrafx 16. Your controllers had turbo.
Save. One of the things I absolutely love about this game is that sense of speed. And just look at those graphics. Look at those fucking clouds. It's like you're actually in the game.
You gotta play Lords of Thunder and Gate of Thunder. Especially Lords of Thunder. You're gonna love that.
It's actually one of the first shoot-em-ups I ever played. And this was actually a game I discovered via a YouTube channel that no longer exists now, called Classic Game Room. They were pretty big back, like, in the mid-2000s.
Yeah.
And
CGR,
it was...
although he's changed it to comic reviews these days, although you can still find the old videos, thankfully.
Oh, they're still there?
Yeah, I hope somebody archives those, because that was a lot of good work from them and the Undertow crew that does not need to be lost. That needs to be saved.
Yeah, especially me, because I actually did videos for them. Save. If it wasn't for him, I would not have actually even heard of like half of these retro games. Because I'd certainly never heard of Arrow Flash before.
Arrow Flash, Whip Rush, Eliminate Down. That's another great one, but good lord, that card is expensive.
I imagine Arrow Flash is not cheap either.
It's not as expensive as some of the other shooters, thankfully, because thus far the retro community has not picked up on it as much.
Save. Good. I might have to pick up a legit of this. I do have a decent number of legit Genesis games, but this is not one of them, sadly. But what is one of them? One last game before we call it a day. Since we were playing a first-person shooter, this is one game I do have legit, and I'm quite glad that I do. I want to review this one day.
A Genesis version of Duke Nukem?
Nope. A game that's actually playable. Zero Tolerance. I tried to play that game. It is absolute torture.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. It's not worth playing. It's an interesting curiosity, and it's fun to run around with, but it's not playable.
Accolade Software. Did they do anything other than this? That looks familiar.
They did quite a bit. They published Bubsy. They did an okay version of Double Dragon on the Genesis. My favorite thing they ever did, and it's a big favorite thing, is they published Star Control 1 and 2.
Okay, so they got some pretty good games. So yeah, this is what they had to do to get a first-person shooter to work on the Genesis. You get this tiny little screen, but it's there. It's just...
Well, there's also the opposite, which is Bloodshot / Battle Frenzy, which did it full screen, but was really kind of limited in what it could do.
Now
There's
there's
a tiny little screen you get in this. You actually get enemy reactions, some simple physics, and blood splatter on the wall.
too bad you don't have any. You don't get any goddamn ammo, and you just completely get eradicated by the enemies.
Yeah, it can be pretty brutal.
Oh, just fucking kill me already. You don't want to pick the random guy anyway. Deceased. But hey!
You
what?
gotta say with Ishii, but you gotta be careful with her.
That's a woman?
You have, yeah.
You sure?
Yes, I'm dead sure.
I see.
Although, I don't want to know what Satoshi Ishii did to get a nickname of Soba.
I mean, I guess that
You
means
don't
something.
generally get a nickname. You don't get a nickname of Noodles for good reason.
Wow. Brilliant. Also, we've got a very strange looking shotgun. That's a lever. That is totally a lever on that thing. And a pump. And there's blood splatter! Oh my god!
Oh yes, the commercials. Don't forget the ketchup. That's a literal line that's in the video commercial for this game.
Why am I
Guy
not...
shoots him on the wall and says, "Don't forget the ketchup."
Wow.
Like, what the
Brilliant.
hell?
We are interlaced. This is not as bad as it looks, though. Okay, yeah,
No,
maybe
it's for what it is and the system it's on. It's surprisingly playable. It's not going to blow your socks off. It's a little underpowered compared to Wolfenstein. But remember, this is mid-90s Genesis we're talking about here. You have damageable backgrounds, blood splatter, a decent frame rate, and okay first-person shooter controls. That's pretty respectable.
I think my biggest problem is there's too many enemies at first, and it's kind of hard to react to them all. But for what it is, yeah, it is pretty good. I would like to see this.
You have to go through methodically. You can't rush in.
So you can't play it like Doom, I guess. Like me.
No, not at all.
You go in and shoot everything in sight with your scoped Walther PPK, I think is what that is. I think I'm dead. Yes, I am. Alright, so that is a bunch of games. He was born in 1974, apparently, and somehow lived long enough to be in space.
Well, that's 2074.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. It's 100... Wait, his height is 188. Oh, that must be, like, centimeters? Something like that?
Yeah, it's centimeters.
Okay. And, of course, we need to see that his eyes are green, because if we didn't know that, we might not be able to do as much shootings. Still, you're telling me that is a woman? That is not a woman. It's probably gonna
That's a woman.
That's gonna get me demonetized, probably. It is totally a woman. I mean, so long as she believes
Hey,
that.
she was stunning and brave before she was hit with that shotgun.
Oh man! All right, let's see. Machinima's description. All right. Well, I am General Odds.
I'm Radic.
We can wish you good. PC Engine, whatever makes you happy.